It's the F word in travel. With an HSBC Global Money account, you can drop from Acapulco to Zurich. That means no fees here, bonjour, no fees here, howdy, and definitely no fees here. Pay no HSBC fees overseas with a Global Money account.
HSBC UK, opening up a world of opportunity. Available to HSBC UK customers with an eligible current account. Exclude some accounts such as the HSBC Basic Bank account. For mobile banking app users only. Non-HSBC fees may apply.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast.
With Luker's Land Rover. Looking to sell your Land Rover? Contact them today for a no-obligation quotation.
The team with the biggest support in Glasgow and the West. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Yes, 3 o'clock kickoffs just moments away. We've given you the build-up for Motherwell against Kilmarnock, Dundee Hearts, Hibs, St Mirren. Of course, it was Aberdeen 1, Celtic 1 earlier on today. Let's go back to Ibrox. David Friel is there building up to Rangers against Livingston. You can give us a recap of the teams and a bit of colour.
Yeah, Andrew, just you kind of feel the atmosphere building here. It's going to be a sellout at Ibrox. Big chance for Rangers to close the gap on Celtic after that drop Pittodrie earlier. Mohamed Diamandi's not in the matchday squad, the new signing from Nordisland. He's just been paraded to the fans in the pitch, and you can just feel the sense of expectation inside. Ibrox Rangers fans expect 3 points, or demanding 3 points. Philippe Clement will be exactly the same. I think they're also going to be looking forward to seeing their team in home soil again. It's been a month since Rangers played a competitive game here against Kilmarnock at the start of January. There's only been that friendly against Copenhagen since. This actually starts around 4 successive games at Ibrox for Rangers. Aberdeen visiting midweek, Ayr coming Scottish Cup duty, and then it's Ross County after that. Philippe Clement has a perfect domestic record at home, 6 wins out of 6. I think everybody's expecting a stroll for his team against a struggling Livingston today. David Martindale's side before and after his time have never won here, and they pretty much need a miracle today. Clement has opted not to throw his 2 most recent signings in from the start. As I said, Diamandi, he doesn't make the squad, he's not fit enough yet. Oscar Cortez, the loan signing from Lons, the young Colombian winger, is on the bench. He could feature at some point. Fabio Silva, who also arrived in January at the start of the window from Wolves, gets the nod up front with Cyril Dessers rested. He's one of 6 changes from that St Mirren win last weekend. Run through Rangers team for you again. Jack Butland in goals, James Tavernier, Connor Goldson, Leon Balogun and Borna Barisic. John Lundstrom and Ryan Jack as the sitting midfielders, with Ross McCausland, Todd Cantwell, Rabbi Matondo in behind Fabio Silva. Subs for Rangers are McCrory, Yilmaz, Suter, Dessers, Longs, Wright, King, Raskin and Cortez. Livy, they line up Shamal George back in goal for Michael McGovern, Jamie Brandon, Sean Donnellan, Io Obalai, James Penrice, Derek Carson, Jason Holt, Mo Sangari, Scott Pittman, Andrew Shinney and Joel Nibley. Rangers players just finishing up their warm-up here, just taking off their tracksuits. James Tavernier getting in to shake hands with Andrew Shinney just before the start of the game. Rangers, what a chance it is to close the gap in Celtic. I can only see a home win here, Andrew.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard. Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy. Is quitting smoking your goal? Visit them to get started.
Yes, already underway in some of the games, just getting underway at Ibrox as well. Let's hope that some of the action of the 3 o'clock kickoffs is as good as what we saw in the second half at Pittodrie. But before any early action happens, why don't we get some predictions from you three? Hugh's off to a flyer already. He predicted 1-1 between Aberdeen and Celtic. How do you see the rest going?
At Ibrox we have a game where the away team literally have no chance whatsoever, so it's a home win for Rangers. I'm going for Kilmarnock to beat Motherwell. Dundee Hearts for me a draw. Hibs will beat St Mirren at Easter Road, and Ross County will beat St Johnstone.
Rangers for me, Kilmarnock, Hearts to beat Dundee, Hibs to beat St Mirren, and there's going to be a draw in Dingwall.
Rangers, Motherwell, Kilmarnock a draw, Dundee Hearts home win, Hibs St Mirren home win, Ross County St Johnstone draw.
Okay, interesting. Trying to see what the most rogue shout out of all of those is. Dundee to beat Hearts. I quite like it, don't mind it.
Do you? I'm liking it myself.
Just looking at the Rangers team, we've not had much time to analyse it, but Fabio Silva starting ahead of Cyril Dessers. Interesting. Dessers has obviously scored in his last 3 games, but is this the perfect type of game to try and get Fabio Silva up and running?
You would think so. Well, especially the way Livingston have played this year. Like you said, you find it hard to give them any chance at all. Rangers will have loads of possession, so for a front man like Silva, it's plenty of opportunities for him to get involved. I think if your Dessers should be a wee bit frustrated. You went through all that stick and you're still getting stick, but you've hit a wee turn in the road there where you've scored that really significant goal last week against St Mirren. You're dropped this week.
The Silva kept telling us when he arrived here that he's not an out and out number 9. He's not that type of player. So maybe in training, Philippe Clement has seen something that we don't.
I don't know if he quite said he's a number 10 or a winger. I think it was more that he's a striker that does more than just hangs about the penalty box in terms of drops deep and runs the channels. But I think predominantly, if you were looking at a starting lineup, it would be the number 9 role that he would be occupying.
It's an interesting one because I'm trying not to be derogatory towards Livingston. I'm simply pointing out the factual evidence. They haven't won a game in the Premier League since last October. They've gone 15 games on the bounce without winning. They have very little chance, I think, of surviving. They will be relegated. Now, 50,000 fans there who are made even more excited by the fact that Celtic have had a significant drop of points at Pittodrie. If De Silva doesn't score today, he never will.
Well, a good start for Scott Brown and Ayr United, 1-0 up already against Dundee United. Jamie Murphy with the goal. Forfar 1-0 up against the Spartans. Thomas Brindley scoring. Good start for your Seagulls, Hugh.
Yeah, I'm delighted to see that, but I'm not so delighted for Jim Goodwin. Dundee United, are faltering, stuttering, and they've got to come up this season, and they have the biggest budget in that division, and they're looking to get back up there and restore the Dundee derby. Dundee under Tony Docherty flying. So that's a very shabby start.
The only thing they've got, Hugh, is the fact that Wraith Rovers just now are falling like a stone. They lost last night again in the Cup. So it's not a perfect start, but well done to Scott Brown. Off and running. Good start, got something out of the players already.
Good win for him against Queen's Park last weekend. So he's made up for that. A poor start for him when he left Celtic, went to Aberdeen and get mixed up in the Stephen Glass business that didn't end well. Fleetwood Town didn't end well either. So he's having a very good time of it.
Annan 1-0 up against Alloa. Aidan Smith with the goal. But before there's any early action, Hugh, let's get this underway.
And now a word from our podcast sponsor, Lookers Motor Group. They've got Jaguar, Land Rover and Volvo showrooms across Glasgow and the West, so you can find the new or used approved car that's right for you. The Land Rover showrooms can be found in Motherwell, Darnley and the north of Glasgow, with their Jaguar and Volvo showroom found in Hillington. And right now at lookers.co.uk you can browse and shop 24/7, value your part exchange, order and take delivery from the comfort of your own home. Every approved used Jaguar, Land Rover or Volvo comes with a minimum of 12 months warranty, roadside assistance, MOT test warranty, an independent mileage and service history check, software updates and lots more. Check out lookers.co.uk to get your new or used approved Land Rover, Jaguar or Volvo today. Now back to the podcast.
Fees. The F word in travel. With an HSBC Global Money account, you can drop fees from Acapulco to Zurich. That means no fees here. Bonjour. No fees here. Howdy. And definitely no fees here. Pay no HSBC fees overseas with a Global Money account.
HSBC UK, opening up a world of opportunity. Available to HSBC UK customers with an eligible current account. Exclude some accounts such as the HSBC Basic Bank account. For mobile banking app users only. Non-HSBC fees may apply.
Looking to get car or van insurance double quick? Go! To mustard.co.uk. With top insurance providers, a 5-minute pit stop with us could get you out in front in the race to savings. Car or van, work or play. Compare insurance with mustard.co.uk. T's and C's apply. Authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority.
The first half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
It's a wee tricky one, I think. Can you name the last 5 top flight managers to have left their role during the January transfer window? The last 5 top flight managers to have left their role during the January transfer window.
That is a tough one indeed. Not a lot of information you need, but if you need to see it again written down, at Clyde SSB on Twitter, and that's
Is
where
that
you need to go.
including Barry Robson?
Brilliant. Giving away one of the answers already. So there we go. You've got 4 to get on the teaser.
This is the man.
Goodness me.
The man who thought that Craig Bellamy played for Clyde. The man who could not spell Cifuentes.
Hugh, that was not my fault.
No, you thought it was Craig Beattie.
Yeah, but this was very much your fault today.
Yeah.
So, yes. Well, you have 5. Include him as well. Send them all the answers in one tweet. At Clyde SSB.
And I'm afraid if
quickest wins.
I'm afraid if you mishear Bellamy and think somebody said Beattie, that is your fault.
But then what is even worse is that Craig Beattie never even played for Clyde.
He did.
Yeah.
No, he didn't.
No, he didn't. He didn't.
No, he didn't.
I think you'll find he did.
Apart from the fact there is no evidence to back it up.
Yeah, what you do is jump on that silly Wikipedia,
Andrew,
which tells lies.
Do not fall for the pathological liar in our midst.
Yeah, big beats. I remember getting my photo taken with him at Broadwood in a Clyde strip. There you go.
Were you wearing the Clyde strip?
No. I was a manager at the time.
This has gone beyond lying now. It's fantasy.
Yeah, I think it has.
Early pressure
for fantasy you have. You've got many weird fantasies, but that would be up there.
I think the less we say about that, the better. Rangers with some early pressure. Ryan Jackie's had a shot saved from about 22 yards. A succession of corners for Rangers early on as well. Tavernier almost scores direct from a corner as well. Shamal George scrambling a bit, not too convincing, but James Tavernier just trying to mix things up early on in the opening 5 minutes of the game.
Could be a long afternoon for Livingston, especially if Rangers get an early goal, and by the sounds of things they're on the front foot, they're looking for that. Hugh's right about, he reads out the stats there, it's a season too far for Livingston. Looks like championship football next year unless there's a major miracle, but nobody can see that happening. This could be a long
Did you
day.
hear David Martindale last week? Astonishing, his post-match press conference seemed really emotional, kind of all over the place, saying that he was going to look at himself, and of course he's looking at himself, but then he's a fighter, and then, it was back and forth. You just wonder if today, if they go there and take a hiding,
I don't think
it reminded me a wee bit of remember, was it pre-COVID, Steven Gerrard dropped points at Tynecastle, came out afterwards and said I'll need to have a long hard think about things, and then a few days later was in his pre-match press conference for the next game saying, I'm here to do my job and I'm a fighter, and it was quite similar, I thought.
I believe, if the country hadn't been brought to a standstill, Celtic were going to play Rangers at Ibrox, and the country was brought to a standstill a matter of 3 or 4 days before then. Had that game gone on, had we not had a pandemic, Celtic would have beaten Rangers at Ibrox, and history would have been changed completely, because Steven Gerrard, I think, would have gone then. But as we all know, that's not how it worked out. But I think Davy Martindale's in a unique position. No one ever mentions the sack in connection with Davy Martindale, because he is Livy. No matter what, if they go down, he'll go down with them and see if he can bring them straight back up again.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Hibs 0, St Mirren 1, and Stephen Robinson's side have the lead at Easter Road. Alex Gogic has the goal for them, scoring against his former club, of course.
Unbelievable. I was talking to him outside the school gates yesterday, this Saturday.
What are you doing hanging about outside the school gates yesterday?
I was picking up my granddaughter.
Okay,
his little kid is in the same school.
He's a lollipop man.
yeah. And the big man says to me, he says, I fancy scoring a
You said this last weekend. This is a recurring lie.
Yeah, he's in a good form just now, scoring goals.
So you're telling this story every week until he scored? Was that the thing?
Yeah, but no, that's true. As I'm standing here, and
that's the telling factor. Whenever Gordon doubles down and says, "Oh, this is a true story," that's true. This is true. You know, it's not true.
Yeah, no, I've had to defend myself quite a lot just now by using that phrase. This is true, because people are second doubting me. I was in Asda the other day and I met Broxy Bear. Now there's a true one. Guy tapped me, and this is honestly, Hugh. I told
Do you
the
mean
boy,
a guy tapped you? Have you met?
Yeah,
is
it's
it not a
the
bear?
bear.
and he'll go, "You'll never guess who I am." I went, "Of course, Broxy." He's standing there in his uniform and stuff like that. Ranger strip on, the big bear hat.
You're trying to tell us this isn't a real bear? You're ruining it. This is.
What did I say he was standing with? I says, too warm in here. You know what I mean? What does bears eat? Because I'm trying to think what hell he was. He was on the people.
If he'd gone for you, we wouldn't have had to listen to this story. It would have been fantastic. Dunfermline 0, Morton 1. Dara O'Connor with the goal for the visitors.
Do we have a resident psychologist in here?
Hugh, honestly, that is true. I met the lad and very nice to meet him.
Fantastic.
Not the biggest boy I've ever seen in my life.
Right, can we talk about some actual football, or literally anything else would be good? Rabbi Matondo's had a curling effort, that one quite safely over the bar.
Was he quite small?
He was that size.
Aye,
I couldn't believe it.
didn't look that size in the telly when you see him.
I was like, take
The
it
platforms.
off, take
If
it
you
off.
if you imitate his size, it doesn't work on the radio. Only Mark Wilson can see you.
Yeah,
do
well,
it.
it was Mark that asked me the question. I'm not really interested in people listening.
Just as well you're not here for the entertainment of anyone else apart from Mark Wilson next to you.
Mark
Good
asks the
stuff.
question, Mark gets the answers.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, so Broxy was in doing his shopping.
Oh, shut up.
You've finally broken Hugh Keevans. It's the final straw.
Talk about football, quick.
Yes, so the early goal for St Mirren. They would have been disappointed missing out on Kevin Van Veen, as Motherwell would have been as well. St Mirren were closer to getting his signature. They put up a similar financial package to Kilmarnock. I don't really think Motherwell were competing in that ballpark at all, but I think there maybe is that extra disappointment for supporters when you come so close to getting someone like Kevin Van Veen and then don't get anyone at all as well.
Yeah, without doubt. I just wonder how Van Veen will take his second spell in Scotland. No doubt he was a revelation at Motherwell, and he scored fantastic goals, and was it near 30 goals for
29 last season.
I don't know, I've just got this feeling that
You don't
I'm
think
not
he'll-
so sure he'll
he'll-
hit the
he'll
heights
repeat it?
that he was.
I've got to say, if you look at the two teams today at Fir Park, the difference in firepower is incredible. Look at the players at Derek McInnes's disposal up front, and in wide areas as well. Greg Stewart's in there as well. He's got so many options compared to Motherwell, who's got 25 right backs. I've got a wee sneaky that'll be a difficult game for Kilmarnock
Just
today.
to go back to that St Mirren goal at Easter Road, you'd have thought that Hibs, Bill Foley has been allowed to be a minority investor. There's millions coming their way. Players that they couldn't possibly have got before will be landing at Easter Road, and I would have thought that today you'd be going to that game buoyant, and goal down. Nick Montgomery,
Can't defend you.
No.
They cannot defend. He's very attacking minded. I love that. You go along to Easter Road or you watch Hibs play, you always know that you're in for an entertaining game, but they will always give up goals. They cannot defend.
Maybe the added effect as well of there being quite a few new players maybe takes a bit of time to get going and everyone to gel together. We've got a few new signings in the starting lineup. Not buying it.
don't have time for that. They're rubbish.
0-0 in all of the Premiership 3 o'clock games, apart from at that one at Easter Road. Alex Gogic with the only goal so far. I think while there's a bit of a lull, why don't we hear from Peter Leven, the Aberdeen caretaker manager, who I'm sure will be very happy with what he saw from his team today. In fact, let's not do that, because let's do this instead.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Motherwell 0, Kilmarnock 1. We were talking about that firepower that they've got, and it's Lewis Mayo that's got the opening goal for them. It's a defender that has got it, but it's not a defender's goal. A 20-yard left foot volley in off the post. Incredible
Well,
from
I
Lewis
just
Mayo.
assumed there that it was going to be a set piece, and I was just about to say Motherwell dreadful from set pieces, but it sounds like it's a terrific goal. Don't think any surprise there that Motherwell concede the first goal. It's been the case so many times this season.
Fir Park, Mark. Fir Park, they give up goals for fun. I said that it'd be a difficult afternoon for Kilmarnock, but they seem to have starting to prove me wrong here.
There's a quick VAR check for whatever reason, but the goal has been given.
He's a good player, that boy. Terrific.
Really good
player.
signing.
Yeah, good player, I've got to say. As I say, Kilmarnock, I think, squad-wise, I've got a terrific squad, great options, and Derek's doing a terrific job there.
Because they've always had that defensive stability. They've got a good shape about them. They've got a really good defence. It was just maybe about adding that extra attacking talent. Marley Watkins has been good for them. Kyle Vassell is good at what he does at times, but just being able to get the likes of Greg Stewart in, being able to get the likes of Kevin Van Veen should just add another element
Derek
to them, shouldn't it?
McInnes has got Kilmarnock, the town, the club buzzing in a way that no one has since Stevie Clark was there, and that is to his great credit.
He's just good at putting together sides that, you know, can go a long period of time, not just a flash in the pan. It's taken them a wee bit of time to get there with Kilmarnock, you've got to say, but did it piece by piece, sorted the back line out first, then added the forward guys, and team to be reckoned with now.
Alloa have equalised against Annan Athletic in that game. Rangers have had another chance. It's been all them so far. Shamal George flapping at a cross. Silva and Cantwell both had efforts, just couldn't quite convert. David Friel saying that Shamal George looking a bit nervous so far in this game, had to claw one back off his own goal line from a James Tavernier corner earlier on.
Is there a chance that Jack Butland can go 90 minutes without touching the ball?
You are the making heavy work of this though. It's still 0-0.
Yeah, no, I'd have been two of them off by this time.
He's been waiting for that one, Hugh.
David Friel says yes is the answer to your question. It is likely that Jack Butland could go the full game without touching the ball. It just doesn't tend to happen. I've been at a few games before where you think that, you know, is the goalkeeper going to, something always happens.
Yeah,
it just bounces all the way through. Or,
aren't you? You're wanting it to happen. Shamal George's a funny one because he brought in Michael McGovern. I just assumed that McGovern would go in, a steady pair of hands in the goal. Shamal George is a bit erratic at times, but back in Ibrox this afternoon.
Yeah, it's not even as if he's really sort of held down that place either, because Jack Hamilton's played quite a bit as well. He's now injured, that's why Michael McGovern's in, but he is favouring Shamal George over Michael McGovern at the moment.
To be fair, I don't really think it matters who they put in. They've lost 38 goals this season. They maybe should try putting the two of them in at the same time.
Who, Livy?
Yeah,
52 goals have lost.
not in my sheet, they've not.
Here we go. It's argument of the stats now.
52 goals have lost.
52 goals. Where are you getting that from?
Last night's stats.
Will that be in all competitions? I'm assuming that will be in all competitions now, because they've conceded 38 in the league so far this campaign. So that might be an all competitions stat rather than
maybe you're just seeing in the future, Hugh.
What a turnaround.
Yeah, quick turnaround. Bobby Wales, who is another Kilmarnock striker, he's on loan from Kilmarnock, was there for the first half of the season, has gone back there on loan and got another goal.
I don't mind that. Annan's not my favourite place in the world. Don't like it.
Why?
I just didn't like. Had a few games down there with former side.
I think there's a lot of grounds and teams in that category with you.
Aye. It was a barren spell in my career. I'd won that
Bad
much as a player and that.
You decided to give it all up as a manager.
I was always, a bit like Scott Brown, like Hugh was saying there. Went through a bit of a barren spell with Aberdeen Fleetwood, but he's back to winning ways.
Livingston penned in. There's been another couple of efforts. James Tavernier over the bar from outside the box. John Lundstrom had one from outside the box as well. That one going wide. So Rangers certainly threatening, but haven't really managed to get that one clear-cut opportunity so far.
Well, Dessers will be on at this rate.
I think these games are, frustrating to start with, because you hear the result. Just speaking off air to Michael there, and he was asking about when I played and did you know, and of course we've went over this before, but in my time, if Rangers were playing first, we would have been watching. We would have got to the ground, we would have went straight into the back room, into John Cart's room where there was a TV, there'd be a crowd who's watching. They would have known that Aberdeen went a goal up, probably went out and done their warm-up. So you know the situation now. So these games are difficult to start with, but it's quite often the case. Once you get one goal, everybody relaxes and it takes on a more, it resembles something that you're you're used to, 3 or 4-0, I would say.
We were going to hear from Peter Leven before that Kilmarnock goal went in. Let's hear from him now.
I just thought Celtic are a good team, we're going to pin you back, but when we turned the possession over, we just needed to make a few more passes. We knew Celtic were going to press for the first 5 seconds. I just said to them, believe in yourselves and be a wee bit more braver on the ball, and I think you can see that in the second half. Yeah, top striker, he's done it all season, and we had a few chances as well in the second half. I thought the boys ran well, second half, pressed them, passed the ball a lot better. It's just a bit of relief.
Yeah, it was just big changes at half time, really, not in terms of personnel, but just how Aberdeen approached it. They had a bit more belief, didn't they?
As the Dazzler said, it's like they changed dressing rooms at half time. They just come out 11 different men. It's been a happy day for Aberdeen. It's a good draw for them. It's another point on the board. They're going to get an interim manager until the end of the season. This is now a kind of holding period for Aberdeen. They will not make top 6, I don't think. They will not be in the playoffs. They will just have that kind of season. But for Celtic, today was a very bad day, and it's a pivotal moment in the Championship.
Bit of a delay going on at Ibrox. It's going to be a bit of treatment for Leon Balogun. Just went into an aerial challenge, a clash of heads. Story this morning about the players that have been left out of the European squad. Leon Balogun, I think, was on media duties yesterday, sort of jokingly saying that he'd fall out with Philip Clement if he wasn't included. He wasn't included by Michael Beale. He hasn't been included for the second half of the season either. Now, it's strange rules because you can make changes at this point between the group stages and the knockout stages, but you can only make 3. Rangers had to include Ridvan Yilmaz. Really, he's in there. Oscar Cortez doesn't make the squad, but Mohamed Diamande does. So yeah, it's changes, but Philip Clement has made it quite clear that he's not really happy about it's the initial selections, I should say, by Michael Beale at the start of the season, and then the fact he's only allowed to make 3 changes.
I don't know why you have to have a squad in the first place. List a squad. I mean, you're in a European competition on merit. You should just be allowed to use all of the players at your disposal at the club.
I suppose I wonder if there's maybe something to do with if you get into a semi-final or a final and then all of a sudden there's free agents kicking about, and if you pick up an injury then you draft someone else in. There'll be some rhyme or reason towards it. But speaking of Leon Balogun, I think he's going to have to come off here, which he will be frustrated about. John Souttar, who is impressed in his last couple of appearances, John Souttar, he's going to come on for Leon Balogun. Maybe a cheek or an eye injury for Leon Balogun.
Yeah, and if that's the case, it's the right decision. But he seems to favour Balogun against Souttar since he come in the building. He likes him. He likes that partnership with Goldson. Yeah, you don't like to see players coming off, but obviously medical staff and the physios have made that decision. It's probably the right decision.
Shankland has hit the post for Hearts, looking to get his first goal since the transfer window shut.
I didn't realise that he has scored 47 goals in 76 Hearts appearances. That's a phenomenal record. 76 games, 46 goals.
I tell you, he'll not score one better than the one he scored with outside his foot. Who was it against again? Last game.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, is the one against Hibs better though? I know that wasn't outside of the boot, but the one where he curled it with his left.
Who was that game against? Dundee? It wasn't Dundee. Who was it against?
Dundee today.
Who was it against?
Kilmarnock? Oh dear.
Oh, that's terrible.
Is it Ross County?
Oh, he doesn't know either. But anyway, against the opposition, I've got to say that was top class for me. Absolutely brilliant. What a strike it was.
Aberdeen.
I think I understand why you bring in that goal, Andrew. It was first of all, it was against Hibs. It was an Edinburgh derby, and the explosion of joy behind the goal when he puts the ball into the net, it just made it look like a fantastic moment. The Dazzler might be absolutely correct, and the one against Aberdeen might have been better, but just that derby setting, the midweek setting, the crowd behind the goal, Easter Road, and up he pops.
He's got every goal in his locker. He's a terrific striker. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Apart from the penalty spot.
Yeah, well, up until then he'd been banging them in left, right, centre.
Where's he going now though? Because clearly Rangers weren't interested. For all the speculation, the endless speculation, clearly Philippe Clement wasn't interested.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, Hugh. I'm sure someone, whether maybe down south, People will certainly be. He'll be on people's radar of that. There's no doubt. You can't neglect a goal scorer like that and just let him stay away at Hearts. He's better than that. I think he'll go further than that.
Because there was a contract put on the table which he hasn't signed.
Yeah.
Sort of looks as if it could be his final 6 months in a Hearts jersey.
Well, he's entitled to look around, size up his options, because this is the one move. He's at that age, that stage in his professional life. This is the optimum moment for him. There won't be another one like it at the end of this season.
I find that all a bit strange from Hearts coming out. We've offered him a lucrative contract, kind of thrown the player, under the bus a wee bit in terms of the fans and what they think. If he doesn't sign it, then he's greedy and he wants away. And who's to say it's a lucrative offer? And now it's an improved offer. Well, you've already said you've made him a lucrative offer. Was it lucrative or not? Could you have done better with the first offer? Of course you could have. So I wonder if he'll sign this. I don't think he'll sign his new contract.
Absolutely,
I think he'll be
no
off
chance.
in the summer.
Oh, no chance.
Well, what about that? There's a goal for Christian Doidge for Forest Green Rovers. That was a January move from Hibs back to his old club where he was prolific before he came up here. He looks to be continuing where he left off. Rangers still trying. Ross McCausland curling a shot wide was a decent effort. John Lundstrom just trying to ask the players to pick up the tempo a wee
Making
bit.
hard work of it, Hugh, would we say that?
Yeah. That's why Forest Green are my type of club. Christian Doyle's down there putting them 2 up. They're my type of club. Troy Deeney, 29 days. Nah, sack him. That's my type of club.
To be fair, some of the things that he said, he was throwing his players under the bus, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Horrendous.
Completely
Horrendous.
not cut out for management at all. Whether it's Forest Green, Nottingham Forest, whatever. He's not a manager. Useless. 29 days.
I think the players get too much protection. I liked his style. And you go. Blame the players, don't blame yourself.
Right, let's hear from Brendan Rodgers, shall we? We've heard from Peter Leven. What did Brendan Rodgers make of that? Every single time I go to play a bit of audio, one of these happens.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Your prediction at Dens Park has started off well. It is Dundee 1, Hearts 0, and Tony Docherty's side take the lead. Lawrence Shankland had hit the post not too long ago, but it is Dundee. They have a raft of new signings in at the moment, and they are doing the business because they have a 1-0 lead against Stephen Naismith's men.
Dundee going along nicely this season, sitting in 6th at the minute. Tony Docherty, taking to management like a duck to water, especially with his signings, because I think that's always the crucial thing when your first stint as manager, getting recruitment right. He went down the loan market, of course, and nothing wrong with that at Dundee, and once again taking the lead against a team sitting in 3rd. Yeah, well done, Tony Dock.
Jordan McGee getting the goal. So I had that one down for a draw. Plenty of time for that to be the case.
Right, let's hear from Brendan Rodgers this time.
I thought first half we were okay. Created opportunities in the game, and just needed to be more clinical, I felt, and you could sense Aberdeen, where maybe the results haven't gone so well, where the confidence was maybe low, so we had to exploit that but didn't quite do it. Second half I didn't think we were aggressive enough. I think that when you're playing the type of team we're playing today, you have to be able to be good in first, second, third balls, then settle the game and then be good in your counter pressing to stop the counter attack. So the goal we gave away, we were loose on our pass, and then they broke through that and out of that with too much ease, and then we don't defend what their striker does best, is running away and wants to come in on his left foot. So that was really, really disappointing. But the players, they picked themselves up in the game. We bring the changes in to try and make a difference. Nick gets his goal, and I feel at that point we can go on and win the game. But it becomes too much of a basketball game, and that's not it's not how we play. We have to play with more authority than that, and sadly we then weren't able to then create enough good opportunities to win the game.
Yeah, a basketball game is a good description of it, because it's not often that you see Celtic in a domestic match where there is so much back and forth, but A couple of the things Brendan Rodgers said, not aggressive enough from his team. Talked about the loose pass from Alejandro Bernabé.
To expand the basketball analogy, the Celtic fans don't want to see the Boston Celtics. They want to see Glasgow Celtic, and that was not good enough for them today. And they will be, I think, disheartened by the whole afternoon. Didn't exploit Aberdeen, Brendan Rodgers said. An Aberdeen team, who, as I pointed out at the start of the season, have only kept a clean sheet 4 times this season in the league. Not aggressive enough. The Celtic fans don't want to hear that from their manager either. And then didn't defend Miovski's goal when Brendan Rodgers has clearly pointed out to them that he always cuts in on his left foot, and Nawrocki was left to look second best there. And the defensive situation is now a deep cause for concern for Celtic. And I think when the Celtic fans call here today, I think they'll call in a very disturbed frame of mind, because I think they can see that the title is in danger of slipping away from Celtic.
There is still 6 points in it at this stage. Rangers 0-0 with Livingston, but that will be the worry for Celtic fans, that it's got to the stage now that with games in hand, if Rangers win them both, it would be level on points.
Oh, without doubt. And Hugh's right. A lot of Celtic fans would have said, we've seen this coming. We've seen the points difference shorten, time after time, and now it's at a stage that is critical. And today might have been what some were expecting again. Brendan Rodgers sounds like a man that was not happy. I mean, sometimes we hear him and he's picking out specifics about how they move the ball and that, but there was a lot in there, and he sounds like a guy who's came out of dressing room that he might have given a wee blast to his team. Just that comment, that's not how we play. I think that tells you a manager who's went in and had a real go at some of his players. But we mentioned it at one stage in the game, how both fullbacks were so high and it was 2v2 at the back, and he's quite right, they didn't have control of the ball to play that way. Very unlike Celtic in that second period. He's lucky Kuhn, his change come on, and Kuhn makes a difference.
Celtic are soft. They may have lost points at home last weekend to Ross County. Late on in the game, the Celtic fans were biting their fingernails watching it all. At the end of the game, they booed Celtic off the park, and today they were soft in every way. Soft when it came to chance taking, soft when it came to defending, soft in the middle of the park. Too many anonymous players on the park, and that includes the captain. And it's been a really bad day at the end of a really bad week for Celtic and their supporters. The supporters up in arms over the transfer window, and today will not have helped one little bit.
I think he sounded a bit concerned here, I've got to say. He sounded a bit flat as well for me. Usually, as Mark says, he comes out and there's always a positive. Weren't a lot in that interview, and rightly so. I thought second half they were open. They weren't as disciplined as the first half. I thought first half they were excellent. It was a case of getting that goal, didn't come. Aberdeen tweaked one or two things and caused them all sorts of problems. And he gets a point. Now, I'm not saying Aberdeen deserved the 3 points. I don't believe that. But when you finish the game with Ralston, for instance, at left back, you've taken off your centre half, you're taking off Bernabé at left back because of the pass. I totally agree with him. If you look at Bernabé's pass, it's the most easiest pass into safe side. They don't give up possession. I think it's O'Reilly. He gets robbed with a poor pass. Aberdeen got up the part and punished them.
To go back to your point about the manager, the very first caller to Super Scoreboard last Monday night, 6 o'clock, a lady called Roz, who had gone to Celtic Park for the Ross County game to celebrate her birthday, and she said during her phone call, Brendan Rodgers doesn't look like the manager he used to be. And he has, for me, come back to Celtic, was made very unwelcome by some supporters, and I just think the whole experience so far has been unconvincing.
Penalty to St Mirren. Greg Kiltie already has the ball on the spot. Can he double their lead against Hibs? It was VAR. It was obviously checked by VAR. It was a handball. Greg Kiltie steps up, takes it.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Straight down the middle, and what a start to the game for St Mirren. Hibernian 0, St Mirren 2. And there is another goal, not one of our featured matches today, but it's Benjamin Kimpioka for St Johnstone. His first St Johnstone goal since joining in the summer. They're 1-0 up against in January. I mean, 1-0 up against Ross County.
Well,
Hibs will end up
I'm just going to say something. That's got the makings. I went to Hibs St Mirren the first game, 19,000. They're a terrific crowd. And St Mirren 2-0 up, cruising in the game. Hibs come back 2-2.
All the time.
They do love a 2-all draw. Yeah.
Hold on, no, it didn't finish that way. I was on the M8 when they scored their third. 3-2 St Mirren. St Mirren got a breakaway and scored in the last couple of minutes. Brilliant game, exciting game. I always think Hibs, and I was at Hibs and St Mirren and Paisley as well. They're always good, always there for goals.
Becoming unconvincing, I was going to say, for the Hibs fans now. I think is that where you were going with that, Hugh? The optimism
the optimism at the start of the week because of Bill Foley, the Bournemouth owner, being allowed to invest in the club, the players that were brought in the transfer window, players of a good calibre, and optimism would have been high. But Nick Montgomery had better watch out, because for the most part, not happening for him.
Yeah, 3 January signings starting for them today. Nectarios Triantis at centre back, Emiliano Marcondes is starting as well, and Mazian Maolida are all there, but Hibs just unable to really make a dent on St Mirren at all, and leaking goals at the other end.
Look at Hibs, right? 22 played, this is their 23rd game, 6 wins in that time. If you're a Hibs fan, you are not happy at all with that return. It's a club that's unstable in the dugout because they go from one manager to the next. And that, by the way, I'm with Az with this. I think Nick Montgomery, it looks a good brand of football, but sometimes you might need to change until you get your players in. And I know he's added, like you were just saying there, Andrew, but they're just so easy to score against.
Well, the granny will be taping match of the day on the Betamax. Brighton 3 up, 34 minutes, 3 up.
How are you thinking of going out tonight here?
No, we just like to get the Betamax ready.
All right, okay. Betamax, I used to have that.
Before we get the couch pulled back and the dancing starts.
Red wine poured and away you go.
Do blow really hot and cold, Brighton, don't they?
Lost 4-0 midweek to Luton.
How do you lose 3-0 up against Crystal Palace?
I hate Brighton. I hate them with a passion.
What?
Yeah, that's where I lost my career in England. I was flying high, went to Brighton away from home. I sacrificed playing out wide for a team. Had a poor game. I didn't get.
What's that got to do with Brighton?
I think Brighton was opposition, and I was walking down that pier thinking that's my last game in England. And I made that.
Sounds more like a you problem than a Brighton problem, really.
No,
actually, I will attach some blame to whatever manager thought that it was a good idea to play you out wide as well.
I started the winger. Let me tell you, I absolutely went by fullbacks for fun. No doubt about it. My pace was incredible. Whipped some nice balls in, and then for some reason they put me as centre forward, and I just started scoring goals.
Can I say it again, Andrew? Oh, shut up.
That's true. I started outside right. I was an outside right.
Stirling Albion 1-0 up against Cove Rangers. A Dale Carrick penalty. There's another injury at Ibrox. Leon Balogun's already been forced off. James Penrice is down injured for Livingston, who are holding out against Rangers.
Are we surprised?
More than surprised. Gobsmacked. And I go back to my point about Fabio Silva. You can't get goals against Livy. You need to up your game.
What about this? Almost a third for St Mirren. David Marshall having to pull off a save from Elvis Buomono, one of my favourite names in Scottish football, at the back post. And
very good.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Motherwell 1, Kilmarnock 1, and it is an equaliser. Theo Bair with the goal. He is a man in form, and he has equalised for Stuart Kettlewell's men.
What I love about you jump in the bandwagon. A couple of weeks ago you were criticising Bair and saying, where's the goal's going to come from? And I said, well, he scored in the last 2 or 3 games.
Just
and
a glory hunter though, isn't he?
Yes, Bair. What did I tell you about Bair?
The Bears are important to me this week, as the third part.
Stop going on about it. It was a cool finish, low past the goalkeeper. Theo Bair.
Great time to score as well.
I'm rooting for Bair because I think a lot of people see after he came in at the start of the season, bad time at St John's, got his first goal at Dundee after having a poor time before that, and he's been in the end of criticism. Listen, not a lot of fault of his own. I think when you take Van Veen out of a team and you're the new striker, people expect you to be Van Veen. He was never going to be that, but he's contributing just now, especially for Park.
Five in his last 4 league games, if you want to count it that way as well. Didn't score against Alloa in the Cup, but he's got 5 in his last 4 Premiership games. Really good return.
Yeah.
Livy, no shots on target, 22% possession, and they're still 0-0 at Ibrox with 38 minutes gone.
But the only thing I'll say, Hugh, you're reading out stats. Rangers have only had 2 shots on target. 2 shots on target.
Oh,
yeah, chances hard to come by so far for Rangers. They have been putting the pressure on, but haven't managed to make the breakthrough. Rabbi Matondo, the latest to have a go. This one was on target. A volley inside the box. Decent save, tipped over the bar by Shamal George this time.
Is this the day that Dethersane comes off the bench, scores another goal, and the Rangers fans start to slowly turn and think, okay, this guy might not be too
Fabio
bad.
Silva's not really offered too much so far in this game.
As in nothing. Dessers is entitled to sit there and think.
Keep in mind what I just said there.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Rangers 1, Livingston 0. Fabio Silva gets his first Rangers goal. A corner came back into him, volleyed it down low, and there we go. It is 1-0 Rangers. That was a Hugh Keevans-ism of the highest order that I just did there.
Yeah. Listen, I've made a career out of it. You've got many years of that ahead of you.
I look forward to it.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's a big goal for the lad. Certainly needed one. As I say, longer game, the games go by you and you're not scoring, especially Rangers and especially Ibrox against Livingston. I do agree with you. I think he would have been looking at this fixture thinking, if I'm going to start off with a few goals, this certainly could be it. And well done to him. He's got his first one for Rangers.
Yeah, David Friel says the Livingston players aren't too happy about something. Possibly they feel there was a high boot in there for someone, but hasn't restarted yet. So there is a chance that the goal may not stand.
VAR review with M&D Green Pharmacy.
It's up on the screen at Ibrox, a VAR check for a possible foul. So we will see whether this Fabio Silva goal stands or not.
That'd just be the thing, wouldn't it? You think you've got your first goal and then it gets ruled off for a foul, but interesting.
Yeah, it would be a good moment for Fabio Silva. Always good for a striker to get an early goal in their career at a new club. And especially with him starting this game with Cyril Dessers in form, 3 goals from 3, but we still await whether that one is going to be given or not. Has maybe been a bit of a frustrating game so far for Rangers, but not frustrating at the moment because Fabio Silva has been awarded the goal. It took a deflection on its way in, and he has his first Rangers goal. I think the suggestions are that when the corner came in, Connor Goldson had gone for the ball. His boot was quite high, potentially caught a Livingston player in there.
It'll be interesting to see how that one goes.
I know what you're thinking.
But I don't know. We're yet to see the footage.
It's a big one for Fabio Silva anyway, isn't it?
Oh, massive. Yeah. Especially at Ibrox. Get your first goal, that's you up and running. You've been brought to score goals. The longer, as I say, as longer it goes on, you start to snatch at things, you start to get a bit panicky. But looking at his fixture, you would imagine he fancies this, and he's obviously off the mark.
Yeah, that would be big one for him if it stands.
It does stand, doesn't it? Does it stand? Yeah.
Yeah, goals.
Yeah.
Goals stand,
yeah. Well, the longer it went without a goal, of course, the pressure comes on his shoulders.
I'll stop you there. What on earth is happening at Easter Road?
No.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Hibs 0, St Mirren 3, and it's a header from Mikael Mandron at the back post from a corner. It is a nightmare of a first half for Hibs, who find themselves 3 goals down. A feel-good factor with new investment from Bill Foley. There is new players at the club as well, but in front of their own fans, they are 3-0 down to St Mirren.
Oh, it's just a fact of life that people will look at Nick Montgomery and think 6-2-2 draws, and and now 3-0 down at home before half time. He should be very careful, Nick Montgomery, I think.
Dale Eaton is at Easter Road for us, says either a lot of fans are hungry and thirsty, or they've made their way to the exits
already.
In fairness, it could be people just going for their half-time prize, but 3-0 down at half-time. Well, there definitely will be a few people that have decided they've seen enough.
If it goes to 4 or 5, Aberdeen won't be the only one looking for a manager.
I tell you what, we have completely neglected this teaser as well, but we'll need to wrap this thing up.
The first half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
The last 5 top flight managers to have left their jobs during the January transfer window are Barry Robson, of course, Jim Goodwin, Alex Dyer, Martin Canning, and Neil Lennon.
Nobody's getting that, surely.
I tell you what, you guys might not have got it, but the listeners out there did a full podium for that. In third place, Fraser HK. In second place, Bailey. But well done to Dylan Patton, quickest off the mark. And you did a lot better than Mark and Gordon.
Dylan Patton's always in the running.
We get 2.
Always in the running.
You get 2. What 2 did you get?
Well, I get Neil Lennon, and obviously we gave you the starter.
Oh yeah, you told us about the one that happened 3 days ago. That's a good memory from you.
But the rest:
Jim Goodwin, Alex Dyer, Martin Canning.
Oh, that's a hard one. Canning as well. Long time ago that.
Yeah.
4 minutes added at Ibrox, 2 between Motherwell and Kilmarnock, 3 at Hibs against St Mirren. Hibs will just be hoping that they don't concede a 4th goal in injury time.
If it goes second half to 4 or 5 or worse, then I'm sorry, you may laugh, but the manager's in a bit of bother at that point.
I mean, yeah, losing heavily at home is not good, especially I think with the narrative surrounding it of there being the fresh investment, the fact that this looks as if it can be a platform for the club to build. It's the very early stages of it. I completely get that, but it's
recent results haven't been great. They're losing, shipping goals left, right and centre. He's been backed with players, there's no doubt about that. As I say, I love the attacking football, but results
with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Speaking of attacking football, Rangers 2, Livingston 0. Rabbi Matondo has got the goal just on the stroke of half time. Rangers have been attacking all game, hasn't really worked out for them until Fabio Silva scored a few minutes ago. Rabbi Matondo, a curling shot into the corner from an angle. He's tried a few of those so far today. This one comes off.
Well, again, the goal difference, they can put a dent in that one where Celtic are concerned as well, and really make it a horrible day for Brendan Rodgers and the Celtic supporters.
We can safely say now, Hugh, I think the fire in Davy Martindale's bellies just went out.
Oh yeah.
How do you turn that around 2-0 at Ibrox?
No, you just damage limitation.
Because at least if it's 1-0 at half time, you've still got that bit of hope. But at 2-0, you're really struggling, especially when you've barely been in Rangers half all game.
Yeah, you feel for them, Livy, as the Dazzler said, a season too far. They will go down, and thereafter, I would fear for them, because nobody goes to watch them anyway, and they go into a championship that's notoriously hard to get out of. So hard times ahead.
The half-time whistles are sounding, starting at Dens Park. Roger Hannah.
Yeah, half-time, Andrew. Dundee 1, Hearts 0. Jordan McGee, a former Jambo, with the only goal of an entertaining first half here at Dens. Hearts started brightly. Lawrence Shanklin, who of course is steered a jambo after the January transfer window, he clipped the outside of Trevor Carson's post in a bright start. They were well on top at that stage. They did require Xander Clark to make a save from Amadou Bakayoko at the other end as the game pinged back and forward. Carson made a save from Alan Forrest moments later, but indeed made the breakthrough in 26 minutes. Luke McCowan back from suspension, making progress down the left. He fired across to the back post, and there in acres of space was McGee to head past Clark for 1-0. He also opened the scoring at Tynecastle 11 days ago, and Hearts came storming back from a 2-0 deficit for the 3-2 win. They'll need to do something likewise today. That was a huge boost, that opening goal for the day. It could have been two. Malachi Boateng and Michael Mellon, who's been really impressive off top, they both went close, but Hearts rallied just before the interval. Shanklin fired off target, and Carson twice having to make saves, first from Alan Forrest, then from Alec Cochrane, to keep Tony Docherty's men ahead at the break. There could be more football on this in the second half, Andrew. At the break at Dens, Dundee 1, Hearts 0.
It's also half time at Fir Park between Motherwell and Kilmarnock. Fraser Wisher.
Yeah, Motherwell 1, Kilmarnock 1. Really difficult conditions for the players. Bumpy pitch and strong blustery wind, making it difficult for them to control the ball and pass it around. And the only piece of excitement were the two goals, really good finishes by Lewis Mayo to open the scoring for Kilmarnock, and Teal Baird got a deserved equaliser from Motherwell 7 minutes before the break. Motherwell started really brightly, pushed Kilmarnock back, a Spittle free kick deflected off the wall and spun a yard wide, but then it was up to the other end of 13 minutes for the opener. A couple of free kicks and corners, a bit of pressure from Kilmarnock, and Dan Armstrong threw the ball into the box. It was headed clear to the edge of the box, and Lewis Mayo, of all people, 20 yards out, struck a sweet volley low through a forest of legs and in off the left hand post. A real blow for Motherwell after that good start, and it took them a while to recover. Kelly now really looking comfortable and confident. Spittle, as always, the man most likely for Motherwell. Good 1-2 with Teal Baird on the edge of the box, and Spittle tested Dennis a low left foot shot. Good save by the goalkeeper, low to his right. And in general, pretty quiet around the ground. No real spark to the Motherwell game. Motherwell fans a bit concerned. Kelly dropping off and allowing Motherwell the ball, quite happy to try and hit in the break, although that was very rare because Liam Kelly, a virtual spectator. But then came the equaliser on 38 minutes, and no surprise, it was Blair Spittle that was involved. He was inside his own half and he got the ball cleared to him. He just had a beautiful pass to put Teal Baird through 1-on-1. Kelly defenders claiming for offside, but Baird ran from almost a halfway line through 1-on-1 with Dennis, and he had plenty of time. Sometimes that's not a good thing, but it was a really cool finish by the big striker. Just stroked the ball low into the net underneath the goalkeeper's body. Need to be a bit more quality from both in the last third, but the game's in the balance. I think Stuart Kettlewell probably the happier manager with his team's performance so far. Half time at Fir Park, Motherwell 1, Kilmarnock 1.
Half time at Easter Road, and what a game between Hibs and St Mirren. Dale Eaton.
Yes, half time here in the capital. It's Hibs 0, St Mirren 3, and it really could have been more. The home team have been very poor today. They've started with plenty of the ball, but no real chances at all to come from that. Their wide players have struggled to make any impact on the game at all. At one point, Eli Yuan was standing wide on the St Mirren flank and just sort of stood still on the ball. Didn't appear to take the player on, passed it back, and the Hibs fans erupted in frustration. St Mirren, on the other hand, have been excellent in midfield. They have muffled anything Hibs have tried to bring through, and defensively they've been taking the ball out and really driving at Hibs. They took an early lead after Alex Gogic headed home as Hibs failed to clear a free kick from the left hand side of the box. That ball fired back across and the Cypriot nodded home. Greg Kiltie made it 2 from the penalty spot after Saints were awarded the spot kick for handball, and they made it 3 not long after as Mikael Mandron, completely unmarked at the back post, headed home from a corner. And once that goal went in, Hibs really looked shell-shocked. David Marshall saved from Elvis Pomonu at the back post. Saints have created plenty more, and like I said, could really have been a few more goals ahead. Nick Montgomery is really going to need something different from his side in the second half, or this game could get very ugly for the home side.
It's half time also between Ross County and St Johnstone. St Johnstone 1-0 up in Dingwall, and finally also half time at Ibrox between Rangers and Livingston. David Friel.
Yes, Andrew, half-time, Rangers 2, Livingston 0. It's half-time, but I think it's safe to say this game is over already as Rangers look to close the gap on Celtic at the top. It was all going so well for Livingston until the 40th minute. It defended well, limited Rangers to very few clear-cut chances, but 2 quick-fire goals have surely sealed the 3 points. Fabio Silva put Rangers ahead, first goal for the club. Rabbi Matondo added a second in injury time. Given how the game went in terms of possession and territory, it was a surprise. It took the Rangers so long to go ahead. It's been a game of defence against attack. It's going to be the same in the second half, and I think you really need to fear for Livingston in that second half. 6 minutes on the clock, Rangers' first real chance. James Tavernier corner right on top of Jamal George. He managed to scramble it away just at the last second. Livingston keeper hasn't been convincing at all. Aaron Matondo, he curled over the bar after a spell of pressure. Jamal George then flapped it another cross. Fabio Silva, Todd Cantwell, they were both in on top of him but couldn't convert. James Tavernier tried his luck from distance. John Lundstrom did the same. You know, he just felt Rangers wanted a bit more. John Lundstrom asked for a bit more tempo from the players. Rangers suffered a blow in 22 minutes when Leon Balogun was forced off. He was involved in an aerial collision with Joel Newbley, come off worse. Looked like a cheek or an eye problem. He was withdrawn straight away. That will be a concern for Philippe Clement. John Suter came on. Rangers kept pressing and probing. Ross McCausland, 24 minutes in the clock, he sent a curling shot wide. Borna Barisic then put in a great corner on top of Jamal George. Again, he didn't convince, but he did punch clear. And then in 40 minutes the dam broke. Borna Barisic's corner again, it was knocked back across goal by a mixture of Livingston player and corner goals, and Fabio Silva was onto it quick as a flash. His volley was deflected in. Livingston did claim for a foul. There was a VAR check, but the goal stood. And then in the first minute of injury time it was 2-0. Aaron Matondo has been really bright on that left wing. He jinked in from the left and his shot took a deflection on its way into the corner. It's 2-0, but it's a question of how many more goals Rangers score in the second half. Half time, Rangers 2, Livingston 0.
I'll bring you the rest of the half time scores from across the country next.
The winning team all season long. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Half-time scores in the Scottish Premiership. Dundee 1, Hearts 0, Hibs 0, St Mirren 3, Motherwell 1, Kilmarnock 1, Rangers 2, Livingston 0, Ross County 0, St Johnstone 1. Remember, of course, there was that early kick-off as well. Aberdeen 1, Celtic 1, which means a win for Rangers today would move them 3 points behind Celtic with a game in hand. In the Scottish Championship, Ayr United 1, Dundee United 0, Dunfermline 0, Morton 2, Inverness 0, Queen's Park 0. In League 1, Annan 1, Alloa 2, Edinburgh City 0, Kelty Hearts 1, Queen of the South 0, Hamilton 0, Stirling Albion 1, Cove Rangers 0. In League 2, Bonnyrigg Rose 0, Stranraer 0, Clyde 1, Peterhead 0, Elgin City 1, East Fife 0, Forfar 1, Spartans 0, Stenhousemuir 0, Dumbarton 0. And in the English Premier League, the early kick-off, Everton 2, Tottenham 2. In the 3 o'clock games, half time, it's Brighton 3, Crystal Palace 0, Burnley 0, Fulham 2, and Newcastle 2, Luton 2. Remember the lines, well, we were going to open them at 5 o'clock, but you know what, if you want to call in now, if you've got thoughts about the games that are happening at the moment, or if you've got thoughts about that game earlier, Aberdeen 1, Celtic 1, we'd love to hear them. 0141 951 1025. Phone now and we could be speaking to you next.
The fastest goals, the experts' opinions. This is Clyde One Super Scoreboard.
Second half's just getting underway across Scotland. Probably the most interesting result of that first half so far is Hibernian 0, St Mirren 3. The Hibs team coming back out to Easter Road to booze. A triple change at half-time for Hibs as well. Levitt, Tavares and Ewan off. Mariah Welsh, Mayenda and Venta all come on. Let's see if we can go back to Ibrox. I think we are back underway in most of the games. Not at Ibrox though. David Friel, I wouldn't imagine there's maybe going to be too many changes, if any, at half-time for Rangers.
No, I don't think so, Andrew. Rangers aren't back out there. They're still in the changing room. Bruce Anderson and Sean Kelly are both coming on for Livingston. I'm not sure who has gone off for David Martindale's side. They're just getting through the paces just now. You can probably hear the music in the background. Hi-ho Silva, here comes the lone Ranger. That's clearly a nod to Fabio Silva after his first Rangers goal. Obviously the Wolves loanee making his first start, scoring his first goal up front. He's been a big player, he's going to be a big player for Rangers, you would think, in the second half of the season, and you can see how much relief and elation he really took from that goal. It was obviously a weight off his shoulders, and I think he'll be keen to get some more chances in this second half as Rangers just emerged from the tunnel just now.
Yeah, it was quite a lot of Rangers fans that were looking for the club to sign a striker in the last few minutes of the window, but maybe there is the fact that, you know, Philip Clement and Nils Koppen might have thought, well, Fabio Silva is the striker that they're expecting to play that role for the second half of the season potentially. Yeah,
well, he's off to a good start now. He gets that first all-important goal. You've got Dessers that sits on the bench that scored in his last 3. So I think the Rangers managers probably looked at it and thought it's not the biggest requirement we need. Obviously, if they can get Roof back and get some minutes, I know that's very difficult out of him as well. But so far, it's a good afternoon for Silva.
Clyde One Super Scoreboard Goal Flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy. Looking for a pharmacy? They've been serving Scottish communities since 1996.
Yes, back underway in all the 3 o'clock kickoffs. Of course, there was the early game, Aberdeen against Celtic. It finished in a 1-1 draw. Maybe you've got some thoughts on that. You can give us a call, 0141 951 1025. A couple of changes for Livingston, as David Friel told us. 3 for Hibs as they look to try and claw back some credibility after going 3-0 down in the first half to St Mirren. Dundee with a good 1-0 lead over Hearts. Motherwell and Kilmarnock drawing 1-1. And there is that away lead for St Mirren over Ross County. As I said, if you want to get in touch about anything that is happening today, give us a call, 0141 951 1025. We can go to the lines now. Frank is a Celtic fan in Thornleybank. Frank, what did you make of that performance today?
Absolutely disgusting. I was on Thursday night and I expressed my opinions about Celtic no spending money, bringing in loan signings or the rest of it, wanted to know where the money's gone that all these fans are putting into the club year in, year out, and it's just showed today where that money's gone. It's going into the director's pockets. It's not going anywhere else. It's certainly not going on the park. That was an absolute shocking display today.
Frank, let's just I heard the call Thursday night and you expressed yourself very well, but don't go off the rails now, Frank. You're accusing people of dishonesty here, and we have to nip that in the bud straight away. There's no money going into directors' pockets, so forget that one, Frank. You are entitled to your anger about the transfer window. The last 2 transfer windows have been totally unsatisfactory, and Celtic have wasted millions of pounds of players who are of no value to them. And Brendan Rodgers today talking about his team not being aggressive enough, not doing enough defensively, didn't exploit the problems that Aberdeen had. All of these things are very serious, and Celtic are in a dangerous position where the league has now, I think, started to slip away from them. But let's keep it on that level, Frank. Let's hear you again, but without any references to what would be criminal acts.
Well, I agree with what you said. The league's slipping away from us. It should have been done and dusted before Christmas.
Frank, how do you see the rest of the season going? It is only 1 game after the January transfer window, but with the dealings that have been done, with the display you saw today and some of the recent displays, is there no optimism whatsoever?
Absolutely none whatsoever. I don't think Rodgers should have been brought back. I think a club besides Celtic or Rangers, nobody should get a second chance of managing them. You get one chance at it, you take it or you leave it. Rodgers has been brought back and he's taken us backwards.
Again, Frank, to quote your own club song, if you know the history, Billy McNeill was brought back and won a League and Cup double in Celtic centenary year.
Neil Lennon get brought back either.
Neil Lennon came back and it did not work out. That much is undeniable, but you said it never works, and I'm giving you the example of Billy McNeill, the greatest Celtic man of all time. So I understand the anger and it's coursing through your veins, I can tell that, and Celtic are in a very dangerous position. I really would be fearful for Celtic because they've accumulated an awful lot of players who are, well, I was going to say average, they're not even average, and they are not progressing in a satisfactory direction right now.
Mark, I understand there will be a lot of anger from Celtic supporters. There has been over their January business, and because of the business that's been done in previous windows, some of the performances haven't been up to scratch. Certainly last weekend against Ross County didn't look great, but Celtic got all 3 points, dropped points today at Pittodrie, which does happen across a season at times. Celtic are still top of the table. Yes, Rangers look as if they're going to close the gap today and do have a game in hand. Is it all doom and gloom, or is there still some optimism there?
There's got to be optimism. I mean, it's people saying the title's going on, it's slipping away. Yeah, results and performances haven't been good. The transfer window certainly wasn't good, but there's a title race on. sometimes we're expected in Scotland to have a title race. One team not just run away with it, and you've got to look at the other side as well. And Philip Clement coming in, making such a difference to a Rangers team that were a shambles under Michael Beale. So the two have came together. Celtic underperforming a few occasions, and players dropping out through injury certainly doesn't help. But there's a title race on. That's not to say that Rangers, by some people's imaginations, are running away with the title. They're still behind in the title race, so we've certainly got a title race on. But look, Celtic fans are entitled to be angry, because let's address the elephant in the room. I think a lot of this just falls in the lap of Brendan Rodgers, really, because as soon as he came back, fans should never be back. Fans like Frank should never have been back, and that's before a ball was even kicked. So it was almost like there was a group of supporters just waiting for something to go wrong. Now, it's happened actually twofold, because the team's not playing particularly well, and there's been occasions that they've let themselves down, no doubt about it, and the board haven't brought in a couple of signings in January worth 3, 4, 5 million, whatever, who improves the starting 11. So the anger has been directed at both the manager and the board, and that's to be expected. Of course it is, but it's still a huge opportunity for Celtic and the manager to put things right. Nobody can say otherwise.
It'd be an unwanted record for Rangers to sack a manager mid-season and still win the league. But Celtic started off weekend 1 of the Championship, beating Ross County, and Rangers lost the following day to Kilmarnock. Celtic had a 3-point start. By the time Michael Beale had proved beyond all doubt that he was no use as Rangers manager, Celtic had an 8-point start on Rangers. And it's all but gone now. It'll be gone by midweek. So, troubled times. And yes, Brendan Rodgers, rather than being inspirational for the Celtic fans, has become irritational.
Frank, Mark was saying there about the fact that that there is a title race now. As it stands, Celtic have the points on the board. They are ahead of Rangers. Why? What do you see that makes it slipping away from Celtic?
We're just not playing the way we should be. I think Brendan Rodgers is taking us backwards. I just can't see us going any further forward than what he brought us. And as to get back to the point I made about nobody should be brought back at the second time as manager, I didn't think Billy McNeil should have been brought back. I didn't think Neil Lennon should have been brought back for a second time. In my opinion, a club besides Rangers, Celtic, Chelsea, whatever, you only get one chance at a club like that.
Frank, you honest to goodness, Billy McNeil, Celtic legend, statue outside the ground, came back, and in Celtic's centenary year wins them a League and Cup double, and Frank says he shouldn't have come back. Stupid.
Well, thank you to Frank. We will have plenty more reaction to Aberdeen and Celtic's draw earlier on, but there are 3 o'clock kickoffs on the go, and there is a goal that's gone in as well.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Dundee 1, Hearts 1, and it is Alan Forrest that has the goal. Good play by Lawrence Shankland, and the finish by Alan Forrest. So it is all square before there is any other action. Hugh, we need to get this underway as well.
Okay.
The second half teaser
with the ScottishSun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
Right, Dazzler, get the jigsaw puzzle ready.
She's coming.
I have played alongside Killian Sheridan and Dion Dublin. I've been managed by Craig Levein and Stuart McCall. I won silverware in Scotland and England. The last game I played before I retired was as a lone player. Who am I? So, played alongside Killian Sheridan and Dion Dublin, managed by Craig Levein and Stuart McCall, won silverware Scotland and in England, and the last game I played before I retired was as a lone player. Who am I?
Remember, it is a race at Clyde SSB if you want to see the question out in written form, all that information, and you need to tweet us at Clyde SSB. The correct answer, be in there first, and you can get on the podium. Gordon DL, you are suspiciously good at these. How are you faring so far?
Please describe suspiciously. What do you mean?
Have tried.
Hold on. You have made up. Gordon made up the question. You've taken my phone from me. You barred me from the building. I've been in solitary for 6 days prior, and I still come up with them.
I don't think you should be surprised at people not believing you. I think you've gone through your whole life with people not believing things you've said.
Well, true. That's why I've been married 3
just
times.
See it as an opportunity to prove the doubters wrong.
And what's your thoughts on it?
Jury's out.
McLean? What?
Jury's out.
How's your jury out? How could I possibly cheat in that?
We'll see how you get on today.
I've got it already.
Have you?
No. I'm going to get the jigsaw going in a minute. You guys talk amongst yourselves.
Good equaliser for Hearts against Dundee.
Yeah, I said at the start I fancied that for a draw. Sounds like a good game of football. Alan Forrest does a very good job for Hearts, and Shanklin made it, so it sounds like it's a good even contest.
What about this for a result in the Championship? Not even a result, the game is still going on. 57 minutes in, Dunfermline 0, Morton 4. Jack Baird with the 4th.
What a run they're on, Morton.
Fine.
Unbelievable.
For someone that looked in a bit of trouble as well at one point. We've got one of these as well on the top flight.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
I think he's been looking to add more goals to his game. He got one at Easter Road against Hibs, and he's got one today for Rangers at Ibrox. Todd Cantwell makes it Rangers 3, Livingston 0.
Yeah, exactly what they needed at the beginning of the second half. But I did say when these games are sometimes tricky to navigate, once you get the first, it takes on a familiar pattern. After that, that'll be 3 or 4. And Rangers, on easy street now. Livingston players will be looking at
I think Hugh makes a good point as well. It's important for Rangers not to stop here. Obviously, if they go in the same points as Celtic, the goal difference so important. It's a good opportunity this afternoon to rack up a few goals against Livingston.
You can only imagine that Livingston will get progressively more tired. They're under tremendous strain from the word go. We're not even at the hour mark, and the energy must be draining from them.
Good chance for the new signing to come on as well. To put him on, and
Oscar Cortez,
give him a taste of Scottish football.
Yeah, Mohamed Diamandi had a bit of a longer winter break, so he's not in the squad today. He's building up his fitness, but Oscar Cortez is ready to go if called upon. Just on that goal, it was Ross McCausland down the right, the cut across the box, and Todd Cantwell with the goal. Interesting as well, talk about the opportunity for Oscar Cortez to come on. It's a good opportunity for Rangers in terms of goal difference, because Celtic had the advantage of goal difference on. Were you just saying this?
Were you listening to me?
Actually, wasn't.
Shows you what impact you've got in this show. Not listening to me.
You know why I wasn't listening, because
he was talking.
One of these happened.
Flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
Hearts had equalised, but they're behind again. Dundee 2, Hearts 1. A great solo run and a 20-yard shot from Lyle Cameron.
He's a good player, good young player. Lyle Cameron often pops up with a goal. Yeah, it does got Dundee down to
It's funny, in a season where we've lost several managers now in the Premiership, Tony Docherty just comes in after all the years in the shadow of Derek McInnes, and he's got the place going, and well done to him.
Good coach, Tony. So he is. I was there at the beginning at Dundee United. Ian McCall gave him the chance, and very likeable, new stuff. Then worked with him at Bristol, and of course he's been away with Scotland, hasn't he? And everybody thinks very highly of him. But it's different being a manager from being a first team coach, where you're likeable to the players and you put on sessions. Manager, you need to step back. He's taken to it very well so far.
Big step to take as well, because coaches tend to do it a lot earlier in their coaching career if they have those ambitions. But he's taken that route of whether it was maybe something that he didn't fancy for a while and then has decided a bit later in his career that he wants to do it, or whether it's something that he's always wanted to do but was just waiting for the right opportunity, or just waiting to get the right experience.
Pretty sure he would have been touted for jobs before. He would have been in the conversation with certain board members at different clubs to be given a chance. I just wonder what his thinking was to give it a go this time round. I mean,
what are you doing on Wednesday night? Palmerston Pep's 2 down at home.
That's expected though, isn't it?
Hamilton going well. Kevin O'Hara with the goal for them,
and he's sitting mid-table, Hugh, so he's okay. It was when he was kind of lingering around.
That's to be expected.
Hamilton
are a good side.
Well, Queen of South are a good side as well, apparently.
Apparently,
according to the big guy.
What about Luton? Beat Brighton 4-0 midweek. They're now taking
4-2
off Newcastle.
against Newcastle
At St James's Park.
The team that people were tipping to have the worst season in Premier League history and have a lower points total than Derby did in that season.
Yeah.
And not bad at all.
Rob Edwards will get the Celtic job at this rate.
Right, let's go back to the phones, shall we? The lines are open if you want to phone in. I think a lot of the interest is in that early result. Aberdeen 1, Celtic 1. John is a Celtic fan in Moss Park. John, how are you feeling this afternoon?
Oh, just the same as the rest. Something that I already knew or thought would happen. I don't know, I spoke to Mark. I don't know if you remember, Mark. Remember I was on about Brendan Rodgers, going back for a job, but the bit that you'll remember me for, excuse me, is I described Joe Hart as a starfish.
Aye, I do, John.
Aye.
Good starfish today to save Shinny's shot, right enough,
Yeah. Aye. But basically, as I said, he's not a man for a job, and some of our...
I mean, Joe Hart wasn't the problem today, John, was he? If anything, he actually was one of Celtic's better players, made two big saves.
Yeah, I know that, but I was just so that Mark would remember, because you couldn't obviously forget that quote. But I had said earlier, Mark, he was a right man for a job, but I can't believe that the Celtic fans, like myself, how we're not spending money. I had said to your producer there, why did we not go after Miovski? Even if anything else, just to take penalties, because we've not got a player that can score a penalty. We could go him for a song. Why did we not go for him?
The minute the ball hit the net today, I thought to myself, somebody's going to come on and say, why didn't they buy Miovski? And to be honest, it's a perfectly valid question. They have the money. He wouldn't have cost a fortune, and he's clearly a very good player. He made Nawrocki looked very foolish with his goal. That's why Brendan Rodgers mentioned bravery in the transfer market. Celtic should have done much better than the 2 players they brought in January. The 10 players they brought in the previous transfer window, none of them are outstanding success stories. A few of them have been punted already. So the last 2 windows have been very poor from Celtic, and it's a perfectly valid question. Why didn't Celtic even make an inquiry about Miovski?
But we really don't know if they didn't. You know, they might have been behind the scenes, and Aberdeen obviously desperate to keep him. I agree, I think the boy could go and play with Celtic or Rangers. Of that there's no doubt. I think he's got terrific ability, right age, everything about it. My worry and concern, if I was Celtic, I'd look at the back 4 that finished today. And you're going into important games, and next one away to Hibs. You're lucky our Hibs are really poor, but you're talking about going and strengthening that area. The left back was crying out all day long. You've got to put Anthony Ralston now at left back. Bernaby once again gets subbed. Brendan Rodgers not too happy, because obviously highlighted the pass that led to Aberdeen's goal. So I think they've got bigger troubles to worry them than the centre forward era.
I know we're juggling a few things. Just an update from the 3 o'clock kickoffs. There are 3 changes for Rangers. Jack Barisic and Matondo off. Ridvan Yilmaz is on, Tom Lawrence is on, and there is a Rangers debut for Oscar Cortez, who goes out wide on the left. Dundee United have equalised against Ayr United. Tony Watt has the goal. Kelty Hearts 3-0 up against Edinburgh City, and Alfie Bavidge hat-trick. John, with the news Rangers are 3-0 up, the gap will be 3 points. Rangers with a game in hand. How are you feeling about the title race at this point?
I'm thinking that Rangers will win it, and deservedly so, actually, because we've not done anything. As Gordon always saying there, who knows, we could have, but I doubt it. I can't believe that Aberdeen would turn down money that we've got awash with, and we can't even get a player like Miovski. As I say, tongue in cheek, even if we got him just to score a penalty, we can't even get a player who can score penalties, even when they get 2 chances at it. But no, we're going backwards. We shouldn't have got Rodgers. As I said, December, Mark, I went after a Bobo Blunt manager, somebody that was a proven manager in Europe. No, I think it's slipping away from us, you know. We can see it, and fair play to Rangers. They've done their business correctly, you know, and
Just on that Bojan Miovski one, Brendan Rodgers talking about having to be braver in the transfer market, going for ready-made players. Would Bojan Miovski fit into that category for you? A player that scored 18 goals in all competitions for Aberdeen last season, has 19 already this season. I think scored 4 in Europe this campaign as well. Would command a decent fee. Do you think that he is the type of player, maybe not the specific player, but do you think he falls into that category, and those are the players that Brendan Rodgers is pushing for?
Well, I'd have to think so. When he's scored consistently in this country for an Aberdeen side who have underperformed in his time at the club, then you've got to say he is. And you take his all-round game. I think it was Daz that mentioned earlier on, the goals he scores, the selection of goals he scores. You know, it's not just all put on a plate for him. He can create out of nothing, and he can finish when chances are presented to him as well. So there's no doubt he's got the ability. But I don't know, there seems just to be a feeling of snobbery about Celtic and Rangers and transfers, that they don't want to shop in Scotland now. You know, there's 2 outstanding strikers there. Yeah, you get the feeling, well, you don't get the feeling, it's fact, that they would rather go down south to Norwich to a player's third choice and take him over.
But then it's different getting him in on a 6-month loan than spending however many million on Bojan Miovski and Lawrence Shankland. It's just a completely different transfer strategy, isn't it?
But well, the optics of it, then that is the problem. That's why we're getting callers on here saying Celtic aren't spending any money. If you spend £4 million on Miovski, Celtic fans really going to bat an eyelid? Because they've seen him here, they've seen the damage he can do to them, the goals he scores. But you go and get a loan player now, he might turn out okay, but still it's only a loan player. You take away that argument. We have invested, we've tried. Yous have all seen this guy play up here. He looks great, he scores plenty of goals. If it doesn't work out, the board can say, look, well, what do you want us to do? We've invested. But they'll leave themselves open for criticism.
So is that just the debate that Brendan Rodgers is having behind the scenes then? If he feels that those are the types of deals he'd rather go for, but the ones that the board are sanctioning are I think, more projects or loan deals? I
don't know about Miovski up here with Brendan Rodgers, but I tend to think Brendan Rodgers
just that mould in terms of spending £4, £5, £6 million on a striker.
Brendan Rodgers has been in England where he's splashed millions of pounds and probably fringe players, so he's used to that now, and he's suggested probably to the board players in that price range that they've clearly just says no thank you, this is our model and this is what we stick to.
I think the whole question of recruitment is now crucial for Celtic. They've signed 12 players in 2 windows. Not a single one of them has strengthened the team. 12 players. And they will face whether it's Brendan Rodgers or his successor as manager, will face a tremendous job shoveling away the players that have been allowed to build up there who are of no use to Celtic. Tilly was gone back to Australia already. 28 minutes he lasted in a Celtic jersey. Kwon's gone to St Mirren. Yang is at the Asia Cup, but he might as well be in Asia for all the use he is to Celtic. And so it goes on. Nawrocki showing up today. Lagerbielke didn't even make the bench. They have a major problem with players signed but unworthy.
Well, thank you to John. Remember, we will have the open line in full flow from 5 o'clock in half an hour's time. So any thoughts you've got on today's action, maybe it's a bigger picture view that you've got as well, give us a call. 01419511025. We will have plenty of time for calls later. For now, there is lots of action going on in the top flight and across the country. Dundee 2-1 up against Hearts. Hibs still 3-0 down to St Mirren, which is quite something at Easter Road. Motherwell drawing 1-1 with Kilmarnock. Rangers 3-0 up on Livingston, and St Johnstone are 1-0 up against Ross County. Let's do some wrong answers on the teaser. Do you want to give us that again, Hugh?
Yep. I have played alongside Killian Sheridan and Dion Dublin. I've been managed by Craig Levine and Stuart McCall. I won silverware in Scotland and in England, and the last game I played before I retired was as a lone player. Who am I?
Before we get the wrong answers on Twitter, I see a look on Gordon DL's face. Do you want to show your answer to Hugh Keevans?
Gordon Dalziel is the winner.
And he's got it again. I'll tell you what, there is people on Twitter I see that have got it.
Oh, they got it before me.
Gordon Dalziel has done it as well. Fair play.
The funny thing is about this answer, it's a great shout from him, but
I was with him that long ago.
We met this guy and he didn't even recognise him. we were chatting to him and he walked away.
No, that's total lies.
I hope he's listening.
No, listen, I had a beer with this guy. There you go. Don't get me wrong, it was about last year. And I remember him going through all that.
He might not even be talking about the right guy here. He might have the right name written down, but he might not be able to recognise his face.
No.
By the sounds of things.
No.
Anyway, before we give away the answer, I'll go through some answers on Twitter. Scott McGowan says Stephen McManus.
Close, but
I guessed him.
Paul Eady has gone for Gary Caldwell.
Nah.
Gillian C says Simon Lappin.
Nope.
Couple of shouts in there. Scott Knight and Ryan Gemmell say Dean Windass.
Oh, no.
It is not Dean Windass. What a game down south. Newcastle 4.
4.
Luton 4. What a game.
There'll be a winner in that.
And still 20 minutes to go.
Yeah, Ryan Blair is been sent off for Dumbarton. A second bookable offence for him.
Yes, match of the day on the Betamax. That's the job.
20 goals, Hugh.
Yeah, probably
Tottenham
about
drawn 2 each as well.
Probably about 15 minutes to go in the top flight. Of course, there will be more than that as well, just given injury time and what is added on for VAR calls, etc.
Once we dance the Carole King, that's tonight's music.
Carole King.
Yeah.
Why have you selected that for tonight?
Because it was on the telly last night and we taped it.
Oh,
okay. Still love you go for taped.
Yes,
taped it.
We're not listening to the wireless. We're taping things on the.
Remember,
telly.
people used to tape over something.
Hope you've not hope you've not taped over a Tony Bennett or something like that. You're hoping to watch again.
Roadshow.
I don't let Mrs. Keevan speak when Tony Bennett's on in case she speaks over him.
Well, Livingston are about to make another 3 substitutions. They have already made 3, but it is because Leon Balogun's injury will go down as a concussion injury, so each team will get an extra substitution.
Well,
just the way it works out. You don't see it happen often, but David Martindale clearly feeling that he needs to make changes, so that will be more than half of his team that has changed from the start of the game. Fabio Silva has had an acrobatic volley that's gone wide.
This will be the first time David's lost with 17 players.
3-0 it is to Rangers. Where is their potential? We've still got a bit of time, but potential for late drama. It's been a good one between Dundee and Hearts. Roger Hanna saying at half time it was interesting and entertaining. No way back for Hibs. It's just a case of trying to give the fans something, isn't it?
Especially for the new signings. 3 changes at half time anyway, so they have to come on and make a positive impact in the game. But
I'd be very surprised if there are very many Hibs fans still on that ground, because they'll
be there for the boos.
That's the only reason you stay, to just vent your anger.
Hugh would strike me as a stay to boo type of character.
Yeah. He would be throwing his scarf onto the pitch, one of those fans.
I'd be in the house now.
I'd be taking off my bonnet and throwing it.
Or waving the white handkerchief.
What are the levels? Is it booing, throwing your scarf, and then is top of the pile throwing your season ticket?
Yeah.
Is that top of the pile?
Seen
that, yeah.
Dunfermline fans.
I had Dunfermline 0, Morton 5. Michael Garrity with the goal.
That's a goodbye James McPake scoreline.
You've got everybody to sack the day, Hugh. You're right on it.
Imagine if every other industry worked like football, though. You had a bad day at your work,
you're
you're going home going, I'm getting sacked, by the way.
Roger Hanna says Hugh always stays for the booze. Spelled slightly differently. Dunfermline would still be 6 points above Arbroath at the bottom of the table with a game in hand as it stands. They're a newly promoted side as well.
For the league this year in a pre-match.
You tipped
Dunfermline
to go straight up and then win the league.
Yeah,
thought they looked strong. Did think they looked strong. How wrong could I be?
But there's something behind that result. I mean, they have an injury crisis or something. 5-0 down at home, with every respect to Dougie Emery and to Morton, who have been terrific. But 5-0 at Dunfermline.
We played our young team last night. You missed a cracker. Told you to come up. It was that windy at Petershill Park that the goalkeepers couldn't kick the ball at the 18-yard box. It was one of those ones kicked and coming
Came
back.
back at you.
Oh, that was
What's the score?
total football. 2-2.
Nick Montgomery special.
That was. That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
You've got them going now, haven't you? 2-2.
Aye, 2-2.
Good result.
We're entertaining. We're pleasing on the eye.
Come and watch us, you'll see goals.
Guaranteed. Can you bet in our games?
Bet responsibly.
Both teams to score.
Brendan Rod, I didn't see this actually earlier on, that there was a banner in the Celtic end at Pittodrie saying Celtic board on your heads be it.
Well, this is the start of it. You know, there always comes a point where the Celtic fans crack, and this is the start of it. When that now everyone's remember that banner was taken to the game when Celtic were 5 points clear. At kick-off at 12:30, Celtic were 5 points clear, and that banner has been kept in reserve because the fans didn't think that Celtic would win the game.
In fairness, it may well have gone up before the game started. I think it was proactive rather than reactive.
Well, even so, Andrew. In other words, you put the banner up when your team were 5 points clear at the top of the league. Now that tells you that there's a problem, and it runs deep into the soul of the Celtic supporters. And let me tell you, it's not going away.
2 changes for Rangers. It will be the end of the afternoon for Fabio Silva. He's gone off. Ross McCausland has gone off. Dessers and Wright on. There is a penalty to Hearts. Now, who takes it is the big question.
No,
George Grant took it last time. He's just been subbed off.
So
Lawrence Shankland back on penalty duties for Hearts. He's missed his last 3, however.
VAR review with M&D Green Pharmacy.
He might not even get the chance to take it. It is being reviewed at the moment, but he would love to be able to put that right and get back to scoring ways from the spot.
He certainly would.
See if he scores it, then Grant's
Is he
playing
back
the
on,
next
do you
one.
think?
Who takes the penalty kicks? Because Grant's got an
Shankland
argument.
pulls rank if he scores it. He's got the armband, hasn't he?
I would have thought so. Yeah, I think he maybe just needs one to get back in the groove. Because what was it, 14 consecutive that he scored,
3,
something like that, and then missed 3 in a row.
If you miss 4 in a row, though, you're a laughing stock.
Yeah, it's not great, is it? But we will see. Still no decision either way on whether that one will be given and whether he will get the chance. Well, a penalty has been given. Lawrence Shankland steps up to take.
Misses.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
I think I did you with the eyes there. There we go. Lawrence Shankland scores. It's 2-2 in that game. Hearts are back in it. Lawrence Shankland scores from the spot today. He's set one up and scored one, and that is why he is so important to Hearts.
It just sounds like an honest to goodness great football match. Ebbing and flowing, and one team the lead, then the other. So terrific entertainment at the end.
Carson did get a touch on that one. I think Lawrence Shankland may have been sweating a little bit, but it doesn't matter. Ended up in the net.
In the back of the net. That's what goal scorers do.
Will be interesting to see, but you would think Lawrence Shankland will be taking.
We'll get a winner in that
penalty.
game. We'll get a winner.
You think so?
Yeah. Yep.
How long to go in the fixtures?
About 10 minutes or so to go. There will be some added time as well. Some are running ahead of others, but I think around 10 minutes to go in most of the Premiership games anyway.
Plenty of goals to come.
Is Motherwell Kilmarnock still 1-1? It's very,
still 1-1, yeah. Been
very quiet
pretty quiet from Fir Park. Not a whole lot happening. There is a turnaround at Somerset Park. Scott Brown's Ayr United went 1-0 up against Dundee United, but it's now 2-1 to Dundee United. Ross Docherty, who I think was described recently by Jim Goodwin as the best midfielder in the Championship on form. He's back from injury and has scored for Dundee United.
No sign of Van Veen yet.
No, I haven't
99.
seen any changes.
Yes,
Number 99, I know.
99, yeah.
Are you having that?
Nah.
I'm a bit of a stickler for squad numbers. I like them to be organised. I don't like
just
99s and stuff like that.
Can't name a player, give him the same number as a Cohen.
Yeah, somebody else is 99. Who's 99? There's somebody else.
Danilo for Rangers is 99, isn't he?
That's right.
Hooper was 88.
88, yeah.
Been a few. Celtic don't mind that, do they? So been a few 88s and 67s. When Yama was 67.
67, yeah. he had no idea why he was given that. I don't think he was. Okay, 67 must be doing the pecking order.
Do you,
67.
I was before my time, but do you ask for the numbers? Do you go in and say, look, I want to be...
I reckon a lot of players would do these days, yeah. I would imagine the way it works now, because it's a bigger thing now than it would have been previously, I reckon you're probably given a list of what is available, and then you can kind of pick whatever you want.
I want to be 1962.
What would you have been?
1962.
1962? Is that your phone number?
Oh, when I was born.
1960.
You born 1962?
Well done, Hugh. You worked that one right out there.
How old is that then?
61, 62 March. Fit as a fiddle.
I went to senior secondary school in 62.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, you just...
That's amazing. Because you just... When I see just two old guys, you know,
what do you mean two old guys?
Either side, you just
one old guy.
No one knows it.
One old guy.
The great thing about sitting at this side of the desk is I look across the desk and see three old guys.
Hey, Andrew, come on. Me and you are close in terms of the way we're looking at these two, however. Look.
What do you mean,
Cyril
Luke?
Dessers has come on. He'll be wanting to make his mark after scoring 3 and 3 and seeing Fabio Silva score, but he's missed a very good chance. The cross falls to him, blazes it over the bar. That's not what he wants to be doing.
Do you know the first two callers that we had on the Celtic supporters actually had John, the Celtic supporter, who said that Rangers will now win the title. So I wonder if that feeling will be replicated at 5 o'clock when we take more calls. But the Rangers fans, for once, don't care if Dessers has missed a sitter, because they're thinking we might have this title wrapped up.
You get these momentum shifts throughout the season, don't you? Especially, I think in the last few seasons, certainly at this point it's been open, but as the months tick on closer to the end of the season, there have been quite a few seasons of late where there hasn't really been any sort of title race, but there can be one week where it looks as if one team are in the ascendancy and the other aren't, and then it changes and it switches quite a lot.
Well, by the time we come back here next Saturday, there could be a new team at the top of the league.
We are on Monday to Friday as well, by the way, for anyone at home.
Yeah, but you need to wait until Wednesday till Celtic play in Edinburgh. We have had John.
Easter Road also looks like the place to go at the moment.
Yeah. But John, the Celtic supporter, tonight or this afternoon at around 4 o'clock was the first to say Celtic will not win the title and Rangers will. Now, can we have your response, please?
Yeah, looking forward to hearing some of the opinions from whoever is out there when the open line kicks off from 5 o'clock. So get your thinking caps on, get your arguments ready. 01419511025. We will speak to you after these 3 o'clock games are finished. Probably around 5 minutes to go in most of the games, plus any added time that we've got as well. I think Ross County St Johnstone running slightly ahead of schedule. It's 1-0 to St Johnstone still in that game. There's a VAR check for a Motherwell penalty. Spittle played for it, according to Fraser Wisher. There was contact, but Don Robertson said no. Kilmarnock players not happy. No penalty given. But the big news there, Kevin Van Veen is coming on. Is it written in the stars?
No, he cannot come on.
Come on, Kev. Come on.
No.
His last 11 games in Scottish football, scored in every single one of them. 14 goals in those 11 games.
Wow. Terrific. I mean, he...
To a chorus of boos from the Motherwell supporters, the pantomime villain he is now.
That will only inspire him, because he's that type of guy. He thrives on ego, and he would just love to score, and he'd go straight to the Motherwell fans, because their fight is not his fight anymore.
Fraser Wishart says there are some fans, though, that have given him a good reception, so it is a bit mixed. Rangers almost with a fourth there. Ridvan Yilmaz with a strike from distance actually hits the bar from Ridvan Yilmaz, so Rangers still pushing to try and close that goal difference gap at the top as well. It will be just a 3-point gap with one game in hand, and they will get the chance to play before Celtic this week.
When is the game in hand scheduled for?
Valentine's Day. So a week on Wednesday.
I'll be busy.
It'll be a massacre then.
Shug, you and I will be busy.
Well, I've already told Mark Wilson to book me a restaurant.
Oh, I know where you're going.
Yeah. We won't give anything away. It'll be a surprise, won't it, for Mrs. Keevans?
Yeah, certainly will.
Yeah. Quack, quack.
But just think of the yellow arches. That's all she needs to know.
Quack, quack.
It will certainly be a surprise when I ask her for half of the money.
Going Dutch.
That's generous of you. Normally you're asking for the full amount. So
we've missed a big point here.
And a lift there and back.
Do you still go out on Valentine's Day, do you?
Hold that thought.
Goal flashes with M&D Green Pharmacy.
He scored from the penalty spot. He's now scored again. Dundee 2, Hearts 3. Lawrence Shanklin remains a Hearts player and remains a Hearts goal scorer. 16 league goals. It was a quick break, an angled drive from the edge of the box. He's the top goal scorer in the division. A fantastic goal, and it could well be the winner for Hearts.
A man who is irreplaceable. 49 goals for Hearts now, one off that half century. And
he's been there a season and a half as well.
Yeah, so
unbelievable return. And he's done it everywhere he's went, apart from Belgium, where he found it difficult to fit in. But
relegation threatened side as well, which is tough.
But here, he's a proven goal scorer. What would Hearts do without him? Really, said there'd be a winner there, and I think that might just be the end of.
You did. You called it, Mark. I've got to say that. But the boys are right. When you've got a guy like that in your side, you're always confident you can go and win games, and he's certainly proven that.
I mean, there was so much talk about how much would Hearts accept for him and how much he was worth to the team, but if he can continue to have days like this, Hearts will finish third, and they will get their millions that Lawrence Shanklin has played a big part to help them getting.
And maybe they'll increase his money again, but as I say, the end of this season is the moment in his professional life. He's got to make a decision that will impact on the remainder of his professional life, and he's a professional footballer and therefore in the game to make money.
A testament to his mentality as well, because there has been a lot of talk about him, whether there was any substance and any interest, but there has been the contract talks as well, which we all know is taking place. Clearly doesn't let it get to him whatsoever, is not letting it affect his performances. The only thing he's concentrating on is playing, performing, winning and scoring.
Yeah, that's the old football cliche when they're asked about it. I'm only concentrating on my next game, but behind closed doors, of course he'll be thinking about the contract. How much can Hearts go to? Is it worth signing?
But I suppose some players then carry that into a match day, and you see players' performances vary, whereas he's still scoring important goals and performing well.
Without doubt. So he has got a strong character. But I like his story, Andrew, because that feeds into his character as well, where he was at. He then trained to be a PT, didn't he? Because he was a bit overweight as a younger player, trained to be a PT. So he's had to do the hard yards to get to where he is. And he deserves his opportunity, whether that be a lucrative contract at Hearts or a move somewhere else, but certainly a space on the plane to the Euros, that's for sure.
As much, do you know, that's the point I was going to pick up on. I think as much as he's focused on Hearts and now scoring goals, I think he's obviously got one eye in the Euros, and he'll certainly be on that plane.
Because he was only in the last squad because of a late call-off, wasn't he? So you think on current form he will be right in with a shout, and he couldn't be doing much more to be in Steve Clarke's thoughts.
At the moment he should be the number one pick.
We says in Georgia when he come on, he's the one guy that looks like scoring, and what does he do? He comes on and scores. So he's right.
No one eligible to play for us up front is doing what he's doing. Therefore, for me, he's the number one choice.
Right, Hugh, before there is any more late drama, let's wrap this up.
The second half teaser
with the scottishsun.co.uk/football for the best football news and opinion online.
I have played alongside Killian Sheridan and Dion Dublin. I've been managed by Craig Levine and Stuart McCall. I won silverware in Scotland and in England, and the last game I played before I retired was as a lone player. I am Stephen Hughes.
Yes, the man Gordon DL couldn't pick out a lineup. It is Stephen Hughes is the answer. You did get the answer to the teaser though, Gordon. Again on the leaderboard, Fraser HK, who's been on the first and second half leaderboard podium as well for both the teasers. In second place, Michael Donati, but quicker than everyone, Adam Colville gets Stephen Hughes.
Good
there
knowledge.
we go.
Good teaser.
Knowledge.
Yeah, you've got to know your stuff.
Always good knowledge out there from the listeners. We are into injury time in all of the Scottish Premiership games. A lot of full-time scores have happened down the divisions as well. There is a sitter wide from Mayenda for Hibs as they look to get some sort of consolation. 3 minutes added at Easter Road, 4 minutes added at Fir Park, 5 minutes added at Dens Park, which is the real big one, you'd say. I mean, of course, at Fir Park it is still all square. Can Dundee get back at Hearts? 3 added at Ibrox.
I think Shankland has knocked the stuffing out of Dundee. Inspirational yet again. And what do they do if he does decide to go, honestly?
Try and get as much money as possible
Yeah,
for him.
yeah, but guy walks in, 49 goals now in under 80 games. Magnificent.
Yeah, I mean, the way Stephen Naismith was talking about him recently was essentially saying that, I don't think he quite said he is a Hearts legend right now, but basically said he's on the way to becoming one.
Well,
the way he's playing his football.
You have to be careful with that stuff. John Robertson, the ace of Hearts. I personally didn't see a better Hearts centre forward than Robbo.
Yeah,
doesn't mean he's better than Robbo. Just means that he's been a top player for the club.
To be a legend at any club is a massive ask, Andrew. You've got to be careful.
Right, say that to Stephen Naismith.
I knew the way you were saying that, what you were meaning. I thought you were going to say win a cup or something like that.
No, I'll just leave that one there with you.
I'm glad that's the way Glenafton fans think of you. Anyway, we already have a full-time result, and it's at Easter Road, Dalyton.
Yes, full time here at Easter Road. Hibernian 0, St Mirren 3, and boos have just rung out from the stands from the few fans left inside the stadium. There was no second half comeback from Hibs this week. The damage was done in the first half as St Mirren raced out to a 3-goal lead, and Hibs looked really shell-shocked after that third goal hit the back of the net just before half-time, and that whistle really looks to have saved the home side's blushes. A header from former Hibby Alex Gogic put the away side in the lead, and they made it 2-0 from the penalty spot as Greg Kilty put it down the middle after they were awarded the spot kick for handball. Mikael Mandron made it dreamland for the travelling St Mirren fans when he nailed it home from the back post from a Boyd Muntz corner to make it 3 on the brink of half-time. A triple change for the home side at half-time. Levitt, Tavares and Nguyen came off for Vente, Mayenda and Mariah Welsh. And they did start the brighter side. Maulida backed it up and found the defender, but his shot went just into the side netting. And right near the end of the game, new signing Eliza Mayenda put it wide and just inside the 6-yard box, right on the whistle. The frantic nature of the first half wasn't to be found really in the second half, as the Saints were happy to sit in, soak up that pressure, and they were absolutely resolute in defence, but they did still look dangerous on the counter-attack. Olusanya almost played in Jameson to extend the Saints' lead near the end of the game. Boyd Muntz was a real standout for St Mirren in the middle of the park. 2 assists for him today. But you'd imagine big questions may now be asked of manager Nick Montgomery. The few Hibs fans left in the stadium here are really not happy with what they've seen from their side today. Full time here in Edinburgh, Hibs 0, St Mirren 3.
Yes, what a result for St Mirren. Quite the opposite for Hibs. We have some more full-time results as well. How about Fir Park, Fraser Wishart?
Yeah, finished here, Motherwell 1, Kilmarnock 1. A decent performance by Motherwell. Lost an early goal to Lewis. Mayo volley from 20 yards, but fought back with Theo Bear, equalised in the 38th minute. And Motherwell did look the more likely team to get the winner in the second half, although neither goalkeeper was particularly troubled during those 45 minutes. Motherwell were a better side in the first half, not a lot of goal-mouth action. The 2 goals were the best pieces of work in the whole 45 minutes. 13th minute, the opener, Kelly had a spell of pressure. Armstrong cross was cleared, but only to the edge of the box, and Lewis Mayo just took charge of it, pushed almost a colleague out of the way, and hit a left foot volley from 20 yards. He got over the ball, low shot, in off the post through a forest of legs. 13th minute, deserved equaliser Blair Spittle, the best player on the park, with a lovely pass to put Theo Bear through 1-on-1 from the halfway line with goalkeeper Will Dennis. Kelly claimed it was offside, but Bear kept his cool to score low past the advancing Kilmarnock goalkeeper. Andy Halliday then tested Dennis with a back post header at the start of the second half. Spittle with a free kick to the back post, a good low save by Dennis. And Motherwell continue to have the better of the play. Kelly struggling to get up the park and create anything through on Greg Stewart and Rory McKenzie. At the other end, Harry Payton burst into the box and shot across goal but wide. The high ball was blowing into the wind and it was causing problems for Liam Kelly. It bounced in the 6-yard box and just over the bar, but as time drifted towards the end of the game, little happening. The rain came on, driving with the wind into the players' faces. Bair and Spittle try to combine well. They couldn't get that clear-cut chance, and very few chances at either end. But George Gent did bring out a good save in the 90th minute from Dennis with a right foot shot, keeper at full stretch to his right to push the ball away. Kevin Van Veen, much talked about this week, came on after 86 minutes. Mixed reception for the Motherwell fans. He got the biggest cheer of the second half when in the last minute of stoppage time he was shown the yellow card for kicking the ball away. Have to say the players did okay considering the conditions. A decent performance by Motherwell, and Kelly not at their best. I think Derry McInnes will be happy to take a point from a difficult away game. Full time at Fir Park, Motherwell 1, Kilmarnock 1.
It's also full time at Ibrox. David Friel.
Full time, Andrew. Rangers 3, Livy 0. 3 goals for Rangers, 3 points for Rangers, and you just wonder how big a day this will be in the title race going forward. Celtic's draw at Aberdeen at lunchtime gave Philippe Clement's side a chance to close the gap at the top, and they took it as everybody expected them to. They swept past Livingston with very, very little fuss. The gap at the top, to say, is now 3 points, but Rangers do have a game in hand against Ross County on Valentine's Day. With the goal difference sitting at just 2, Rangers clearly have their sights set on top spot now. This is a mixed match, basically. Livy are now 16 league games without a win. Rangers spent the entire 90 minutes attacking. The only surprise was that Livy held out for 40 minutes, but that was when Fabio Silva scored his first goal for Rangers to put them ahead. Borna Barisic's corner was played back towards him, and the Wolves' lone star volleyed in with the aid of a deflection. First half injury time, it was 2-0. Rabbi Matondo, he was excellent for an hour. He broke into space on the left angle of the box, and his low shot was deflected in. It was game over at that point, but Rangers kept coming for more in the second half, and Todd Cantwell made it 3-0 in 56 minutes. Ross McCausland, he was also excellent in the right wing. He picked out the midfielder, and his finish simply had too much power for Jamal George. Rangers were home and hosed at that stage. At that stage, they handed a debut to Oscar Cortez, who looked lively enough out in the left wing. They could have added more goals late on as well. Cyril Dessers, he came on as a sub for Fabio Silva. He missed a sitter after a cross felt at him in the box. Ridvan Yilmaz also hit the bar, but Rangers settled for the 3 goals and the 3 points. The only negative for Philip Clement was an injury to Leon Balogun. We'll see how bad that is, but this could be a pivotal moment, pivotal day in the season. Full time, Rangers 3, Livingston 0.
Sounded like a good one at Dens Park. Full time, Roger Hannah.
Full time, Andrew. Dundee 2, Hearts 3. Where would the Jambos be without Lawrence Shanklin? They twice fell behind here against Dundee in their own patch, but they stormed back twice to equalise. One teed up by Shanklin, one scored by Shanklin, and there was still time for a dramatic late winner from the Scotland centre forward. It's moved the Jambos 12 points clear of Killie in the fight for third place. It's now 8 goals in 8 games for Shanklin, 22 in all competitions this season, and he even managed to go over his penalty curse. He started by hitting the post early on. His Heart started brightly, but they fell behind in 26 minutes. Luke McCown's cross converted at the back post by Jordan McGee. That was a huge boost for the Hopes. The hosts, they could have gone further ahead. Malachi Boateng and Michael Mellon both went close. Shanklin was then off target, and Trevor Carson had to make saves from Alan Forrest and Alec Cochrane before the break. The D missed a gilt-edged opportunity for 2-0 in the restart. Beck's free kick knocked over the bar by Lee Ashtoft, and they paid the penalty when Hearts levelled in 55. Shanklin, the creator, a lovely turn, spin inside the box. He fed it to Alan Forrest for a nice finish past Carson for 1-1. That lead lasted only 4 minutes. A superb solo goal for the hosts from Lyle Cameron, getting the ball in midfield, charging forward and blazing a 20-yard shot past Xander Clark for 2-1. But it was 2-2 11 minutes from the end. Referee Graham Granger penalising Owen Dodson for a handball. It was confirmed by VAR Grant Irvin, with George Grant off. Shanklin, who had missed his last 3 penalties, took the ball and put it past Trevor Carson, although the goalkeeper did get a hand to it, much to Shanklin's anxiety for a moment or two. That was 2-2. Dundee almost made it 3-2. And Beck's shot blocked in the box, but it's a host push for a winner. They were caught on the break. Shanklin to substitute Kenny Vargas. Back to Shanklin, a low finish from the edge of the box past Carson for 3-2. He celebrated with the Jambo fans behind that goal. Stephen A. Smith will be celebrating, managing to keep his coveted number 9 at least to the end of the season. Dundee 2, Hearts 3.
Well, what a day across Scotland. So much action, so many goals, and a lot of good storylines as well. We've still got an hour to go here and we want to hear from you. 0141 951 1025. Celtic fans, what do you make of that 1-1 draw against Aberdeen earlier on? Rangers fans, how do you feel now that you've closed the gap to 3 points with a game in hand? Maybe you're a St Mirren fan that is delighted with that big win away at Easter Road, or a Hibs fan who is worried following that same scoreline. And Hearts fans, Lawrence Shankland, what a day he has had, what a day Hearts had as well. A good game between Motherwell and Kilmarnock as well. Get all your thoughts in 0141 951 1025.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast
with Lucas Volvo. Book a test drive for the Volvo EX30 today. Head online for details.
Get in pole position for cheaper van insurance. With mustard.co.uk. With top insurance providers, a 5-minute pit stop with us could get you out in front in the race to savings. See what you could save and compare your van insurance today with mustard.co.uk. T's and C's apply. Authorised and regulated by the Financial Conduct Authority.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast
with Lucas Volvo. Looking to sell your Volvo? Contact them today for a no-obligation quotation.
After the action, it's your reaction. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line.
An action-packed day of Scottish football kicking off with a 1-1 draw at Pittodrie between Aberdeen and Celtic. Then attentions turned to Ibrox when it comes to the title race. It was a comfortable 3-0 win for Rangers over Livingston. Hearts went behind against Dundee, but Lawrence Shankland did what Lawrence Shankland does. He scored twice, he set one up. Hearts winning 3-2. What a day for St Mirren away at Easter Road. A 3-0 win for them. A 1-1 draw in the Kevin Van Veen derby between Motherwell and Kilmarnock, where the man himself came on for the last few minutes. St Johnstone with a 1-0 win over Ross County. And now it's over to you at home. 0141 951 1025. I'm sure you've got some thoughts at home about what your team did today. Hugh Keevins, how do you reflect on the scorelines?
Well, Brendan Rodgers sounded a bitterly disappointed man after the full-time whistle at Pittodrie. Not so much having a go at his side, simply pointing out their inadequacies. And the first Celtic supporter of the season, John, came on after 4 o'clock and gave up the title to Rangers and congratulated them. I'd be very interested in the response from the other Celtic supporters. Rangers, a canter against Livingston. St Mirren, a canter against Hibs at Easter Road. And I think there's trouble there for Mick Montgomery, the manager. He has not captured the imagination. The football does not capture the imagination. Money is coming into the club, and at the end of the same week you lose by that score at home. Bad. Lawrence Shankland also proves that he is Mr. Irreplaceable for Hearts, with an equalising goal to make it 2-2 and a winner 3 minutes from time. So all in all, it's been quite the dramatic day.
Yeah, the first couple of callers we had on, Mark, were both saying really that, you know, they felt, Celtic fans that felt today was the day that maybe the title shifted in favour of Rangers. John, I think it was going as far as conceding the title to Rangers. Where do you see it lying at the moment?
Well, I think that's an odd take in it when your team sits top of the league. I really do. But I get the fear with some Celtic fans, because you can see a bit of malaise setting in. You can see the injuries coming at the wrong time, just after the window shuts, where the club hasn't really invested the way the fans would want. And you match that with what's going on at Rangers, you know, and the performances that they're putting on show and their progression in Europe. So you can see it, but to concede the title is going too far. I think Brendan Rodgers said after the game, there is a long way to go in this title race, and that's what it is now. Celtic fans have been used to having it their own way for far too long over the past decade, or longer than a decade, and the slightest sign of Rangers, there is a fear about them, and conceding when you're top of the league is, as I say, odd. So we've certainly got a title race. It's going to be interesting. I still believe that both teams will drop points from now to the run-in. I believe Celtic and Rangers. It's just who minimises that, I guess.
Sets it up nicely for the neutral though. Rangers play on Tuesday with the chance to potentially go top of the table on goal difference. Then Celtic have the chance to respond on Wednesday, and it looks at the moment as if that could be the way the next few months go.
Yeah, it's exciting. There's no doubt if you're sitting as a neutral looking at it. I think there's a concern with the Celtic supporters. I think the sort of a confidence factor has shifted over to the blue side of the city, and it's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting week because Celtic fans are clearly not happy. They've not been happy since the transfer window opened. They weren't happy when it closed. They're certainly not happy this afternoon. But the Rangers are just seem to be going along there, cruise to another victory today. It's neck and neck, and it's a case of who has got the, what do you call it, not the bottle, but the strength and character to get them over the line.
I didn't think you were going to say bottle there for a second. I know what you were thinking. But we'll move on quickly. 01419511025. Charles is a Celtic fan in Greenock. Charles, how do you view it all?
I don't view it very well, to be honest, guys. A question came up during the week, how would you sum up the transfer window in one word? And I had said it was unambitious. And that's the way it's proved. Celtic, the board are taking a gamble on how this season is going to end up. With the stakes higher than they ever were before, the board are taking a gamble. And going on the stats, if you look at it as it's been raised, Rangers look a better team against when you compare the rest of the teams. Celtic will take 6 points. Rangers could go level or even above Celtic with their games in hand, etc. But what that shows is Celtic will take 6 points. Celtic have given Rangers a 6 point start, and they've caught up against all the rest of the teams. They're performing better against the rest of the teams. They're putting the rest of the teams by, and Celtic are not putting the teams by. They had their chances in the first half. They never done it. And the gamble that the board have taken was proven on the park today when at the end of the game they flung on Rocco Vata, an 18-year-old, and a gamble to try and save the league. The board took a gamble and it's not paying off, and the board should and will pay the price at the end of the season.
I get that Celtic throw on Rocco Vata towards the end. They do have players missing on international duty. Dyson Maeda is away. Yang is away as well. Nicholas Kuhn also came on. There was James Forrest on the bench. So it's not as if Celtic don't have numbers in those areas. Is the issue, Hugh, maybe the options, the actual players they have that are maybe not up to the required standard, according to some or in the view of some?
They have bought badly. 12 players over 2 windows and no successes. If you buy,
you're counting the 2 from January.
Well, yeah,
Adam Ida and Nicholas Kuhn. You're saying no successes. They've not even had the chance to play yet. Nicholas Kuhn came on and scored today. You can't say they're not successes. Surely
but you can't
surely you say the jury is out on them. You can't just say they're not a success when they've played collectively probably about 60 minutes between the two of them.
Once you're finished talking, you are trying to tell me
I'm not saying they are a success, but I'm saying you can't call them not a success.
You're not telling me, or I will not accept that they are going to make the difference between winning the league and not winning the league. One is
Nicholas Kuhn made the difference between 0 points and 1 point today.
Well, listen, Andrew, you're trying hard, but they will not be the difference between the league being won and lost. Celtic have bought very badly over 2 windows, and you cannot bring up the Asia Cup, because if you sign players from Asia, then it's a risk you take. They have to go and play for their country. It's an unfortunate thing to happen to you, but you have to take it on board when you sign players from Asia.
It's tough when there's a change of regime, though, as well. It's not Brendan Rodgers' choice.
What makes you so certain, Hugh, after Andrew says we'll lack a game time, that those 2 won't be the difference?
Well, Mark, if you're going to stand there and tell me...
No, I'm asking you, what makes you certain that they won't be the difference?
In my own mind...
We're not saying that they are definitely going to be the difference and they're going to come on and they're going to score loads of goals for Celtic and win them the title, but it seems incredibly early to write off Nicholas Kuhn and Adam Ida.
It's unfair on them to accept that they might be the difference between the league being won and lost.
But is that not how football works?
It's
Players
not
are brought
unfair.
in to be the difference makers.
Listen, you're taking the conversation into a ridiculous area where you're going to tell me, and I'll mark everything that they do, those two players, between now and the end of the season. You are not going to tell me they will represent the difference.
That's
on
not what
all
we're saying.
levels,
We're just
on
saying
all
that
levels. No, you're trying very hard to say, oh, you can't criticise them, they're only just here. I accept that. Okay, in order to make you happy, so that you don't need Calpol before you go to your bed. we'll put them to one side.
I think you've went too early there, Hugh, and realising now you've went too early.
No. We'll put them to one side and we'll talk about the other 10 who were signed. The signing policy has been nothing short of disastrous, and into the bargain you now have an unfortunate situation for Brendan Rodgers where Cameron Carter-Vickers is out for weeks and points may very well be dropped during the period when Carter-Vickers is not there. You ended up today with Stephen Welsh in place of Nawrocki because the manager clearly looks at Nawrocki and thinks, well, that's why he only played 7 games for me before today, because he doesn't rate him. He doesn't rate Lagerbielke, who wasn't even on the bench at Pataudry. And the other bad signings that have been made, you finished up, no disrespect to Welsh and Ralston, but that's the back four now. You're going to have Alistair Johnson, Scales, Welsh, Ralston, and games coming up that are just going to be beyond them. And the league is in very, very serious jeopardy for a variety of reasons, number one of which is the club have made terrible buys.
Charles, there are players to come back from injury, there are players to come back from international duty. Do you not see it getting better for Celtic at all in the next few months, or are there big concerns for you?
Well, absolutely. I do see it getting better for Celtic over the next, because let's face it, they can't get much worse. The players come back, and hopefully Hatati's not out for too long. Maeda, yeah, and I know he's been criticised. He should have been developed long before now. He should have been given out, even if he was out on loan for the first half of the season. I don't know, but Celtic, they should have had players in place with the money they've got. It's unambitious. That's what it is, and it's not just happened at this window. It's in previous windows. It's gone by. They should have looked ahead and known that they were going to have the players out. They should have had O out. They should even had O on his books when he arrived. If it was going to be a project, they should have started the project at block 1, develop them, get them game time, not in our time, in someone else's time. That's what you should. I said that at the start of the season. I don't know if you remembers it. At the start of the season, we were talking about and I said he should have went to Aberdeen, get him out and loan to Aberdeen, and it was a talk of suggesting loan things for where players should go. The loan thing has worked out very well, and there was a guy on the other night there. And lo and behold, as much, I don't want to steal the guy's thunder, but I thought the very same as him when he was talking about putting loan players out. Celtic could have put players out and loan to many teams in the league and helped them out.
And I'm not sure the issue here is that, you know, Celtic should have loaned some players out for development. Is it there are maybe bigger issues than that? If Celtic had loaned O out in the summer to an Aberdeen or something like that, they wouldn't have had a backup striker for the first half of the season. They do now have Adam Ida in there. They now get Nicholas Coombe, who came on and got a goal today. But you can see why Charles and other Celtic fans that have come on the lines are concerned, because Ross County last week, Brendan Rodgers said Celtic haven't taken their chances, they weren't clinical enough, and it's the second game in a row that Celtic have not been clinical, not taking their chances, and this time they paid the price for it.
I think these two guys jumped on Hugh, quite rightly so, about the two new players, but where I agree with you is the 10 signings in the summer. You can look back to the January when Postecoglou was there. He brought in Alistair Johnson, Kobayashi, not to be seen. Iwata's been in and out. So the transfer windows over the last few have been very poor indeed, and they put them under a little bit of pressure, because you highlight today, and we're not being disrespectful to fringe players or backup players like Welsh there playing centre back, Ralston having to go to left back. I thought first half, I thought to myself, oh, Celtic look really up for this. They look sharp, they look everything about them. Second half, for me, they were all over the place. You look at as much as the signings. Now, Callum McGregor, nobody's a bigger fan of Callum McGregor than I am. I think he's a fantastic footballer. I can't remember the last time Callum McGregor, as a captain Celtic, grabbed the game by the scruff of the neck and dictated the game. I think what the biggest problem for Celtic fans is, look, they've not thrown in the towel. They've still got quality players. They've still got players to come back that make a massive difference. But everything seems to be clicking over the other side of the city. You know, Rangers got their recruitment done quite early. They've got a nice balance of every position round about them. They've got a terrific goalkeeper. They've got a strong manager as well. And I think that's where the concerns now coming from.
Well, thank you to Charles. Let's speak to Jamie, who is a Celtic fan in Kilsyth. Jamie, how are you feeling tonight?
I'm feeling okay. Not brilliant, but okay. But I'm going to annoy a lot of Celtic supporters here. What I'm going to say. I don't believe for 1 minute that Brendan Rodgers was the wrong appointment. The people that I blame for what's happening just now is the actual board, Peter Lawwell, and the people who look at the recruitment side of players coming in. And I believe that Brendan Rodgers had been promised, whatever was thrashed out before he came back to Celtic, that he'd be promised this, that and the next thing. And I think that the rug's been pulled under him. And I believe that the signings he's had wanted to make has not happened, and it's not went to fruition. Now, if you look at the fact the way Celtic were last season, you know, how does it go so or turn so bad within the matter of months? It just doesn't add up. Now, Law will come back. His son's at the head of whatever. Now, who has got to say at Celtic? And the other thing I would like to...
We'll take that point, Jamie, and I'll let you back in. Jamie's saying that he feels that Brendan Rodgers is walking into something and then takes the job and it's not quite what he thought it was. Brendan Rodgers speaking yesterday was saying that, you know, he understood what the lay of the land was when he first came in. He's learned even more what the lay of the land is now. But clearly from what he said yesterday, there is some difference in what he wants to do in the transfer market and what the board want to do in the transfer market. Now, it's pointless now up until the summer because he can't do anything about it until the summer. He needs to go with the squad he's got. But is it maybe a case of Brendan Rodgers has come in on the board's terms and now just wants to try and push for more?
Look, there's a lot of assumption of what happens behind the scenes at Celtic from fans, from even ourselves in here, and the way it looks. Nobody really knows, apart from those that are in the building, what terms Brendan Rodgers accepted the job, because Celtic went to him. He didn't bowl up at Celtic Park and say, give me the job back. Celtic went out their way to get him back into the club. So they both agreed to come back in, but who knows what he was told at that point. But what you can say, when Celtic publish the figures, which of course they have to do, and they see a large pot of money, then the fans automatically assume that that money is going to be reinvested into the squad to give them a realistic opportunity at taking the team forward. Not just standing still, not just developing players, but take the team forward domestically and in Europe. There's no doubt about it. Over the previous two transfer windows, that's a long way away from what any Celtic fan wants. So you've got to think, what is the model now? What is the transfer? Is it just a project club? That's the be all and end all? Because if that's what it is, then just say that to the Celtic fans. Just say that. Never mind the 70 million. It's banked. It's a club that's going to be stable forever. But this is the route we're going down. But it's the illusion, I think, that Celtic fans believe at the start of every window, this is the one. This is the one that's going to be a player from the Premiership, from a manager who's managed here, is going to come up.
Let's go.
And it's just never happened.
Let's go to the top of the house here. Dermot Desmond is the de facto owner of Celtic. He would never increase his shareholding so that he is the actual owner of Celtic, but he's the man. And he's the man who brought back Brendan Rodgers. And Brendan Rodgers is then told to work with a recruitment department. This line about the board, it's a cliche, and it's an incorrect cliche. Celtic's a major organisation. They have a football manager in Brendan Rodgers who has been tremendously successful with the club. They have a recruitment department. The club employs the recruitment department to look after the recruitment of players using their expertise, their data analysis and all the rest of it. They are paid to bring players into the club. The board take no part. The Michael Nicholson, the chief executive, takes no part in looking for players. Chris Mackay, the financial director, takes no part in looking for players. You have a manager and you have a recruitment department, and both have failed to do the right thing for Celtic because the best players have not been brought in, and the consequences of that are now catching up with Celtic.
Well, thank you to Jamie. Unfortunately, we'll have to leave it there. We are running late for the break, but you can get your calls in 0141 951 1025.
And now a word from our podcast sponsor, Lookers Motor Group. They've got Jaguar, Land Rover and Volvo showrooms across Glasgow and the West, so you can find the new or used approved car that's right for you. The Land Rover showrooms can be found in Motherwell, Darnley and the north of Glasgow, with their Jaguar and Volvo showroom found in Hillington. And right now at lookers.co.uk you can browse and shop 24/7, value your part exchange, order and take delivery from the comfort of your own home. Every approved used Jaguar, Land Rover or Volvo comes with a minimum of 12 months warranty, roadside assistance, MOT test warranty, an independent mileage and service history check, software updates and lots more. Check out lookers.co.uk to get your new or used approved Land Rover, Jaguar or Volvo today. Now back to the podcast.
The games are over. The talking begins. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line.
Still plenty of time to get your calls in. 0141 951 1025. We'll start hearing from some managers as well. Plenty of action, plenty of exciting football on the go across Scotland today. Let's hear from Stephen Naismith. A good win for Hearts against Dundee.
Good entertaining football. I think it's two teams that are confident. I think it's two teams that are well coached and two teams that have a kind of never say die attitude. I think that's the way the game went. I thought we started quite well, getting control in the game. The niggle at half time was decision making final third and in our tempo at times when we were moving the ball. But we got in 1-0 down from a couple. Our goals today were sloppy, but I never felt as if we were out of it or we were struggling. We were a constant threat. The best thing that the thing that we've built over time is our resilience and our character, and we don't change. We continue to keep moving the ball and working opportunities rather than getting sucked into going direct. And then the game in the second half could swing either way. We could have come away with a defeat, a draw, or as we did, we win, because it becomes a bit more open. Both teams have chances, but we made the right choices in the second half in our attacks to get us a win.
We've already talked about the contribution from Lawrence Shankland, but you look at the Hearts result today with Kilmarnock drawing 12 points ahead of Kilmarnock. It's quite a cushion to have at this stage of the season, isn't it?
Oh, without doubt. You think of Hearts probably about 3 months ago and what the fans were saying, and they weren't quite sure about Stephen Naismith, and they certainly weren't in the position they are now. But they've just got a run of good results, and they've sustained it, and they've kept going. They find themselves well clear in third.
And also Hearts 19 points ahead of their city rivals, and I think I used the word rivals ill-advisedly, Hibs. But then they are well coached, said the head coach.
I like that. I like that confidence. When you win, you come out and take all the credit. Hearts are a stick on for third if they keep Shankland fit. You know, he's their main man. He's their talisman. Scores goals, captain, leader, best player. So if they can keep him fit, they're a stick on for third.
And I think because of the transfer window that a few of the other clubs had, Kilmarnock, Dundee as well, adding quite a few, the investment in Hibs as well, there was maybe people that thought there would be a tight race for third place. Hearts didn't really strengthen too much in the window, but did hold on to Lawrence Shankland. But maybe that's a statement of intent from Hearts today.
Well, the window's about how you come out of it, and the strength of your squad, and sometimes that means not letting your best players go, even if there are interest in them, and it could bring you a couple of £1,000,000. Hearts have managed to do that, so Stephen Naismith will be really pleased at that. He seems to think they're well coached, and there's nothing wrong with saying that. But if you've got players like Shankland, who even when things aren't going well for you in a game, can pop up with a goal, that's where you find yourself in the league, in the top half, and far and away in third. And Kilmarnock's got a job in their hands to catch them.
Well, let's hear from you. 01419511025. We've talked plenty about Celtic. From a Rangers perspective, it was a routine victory for Rangers today, all over Livingston. It looked as if it was going to be 3 points for Rangers, and the fact that they are now, a game on Tuesday away at home against Aberdeen away from equaling Celtic's points total, that will do wonders for their confidence, won't it?
Yeah. Aberdeen had a shocking first half against Celtic, a much better second half, but when they go down to Aberdeen, to Ibrox on Tuesday, they will be very much lambs to the slaughter, because we were 50,000 in, and that the Rangers can go top of the league that night, albeit on goal difference. That will do the Rangers supporters as a down payment. So Aberdeen have it all to do on Tuesday, and they're not up to that.
I think with Rangers just now, why there is so much optimism since they returned from the break, you look at the games that they've played, you look at the team selection from Philippe Clement. I think it was you that says it earlier, Daz, that there's competition for places and rotation within there, that even when Clement rotates from last week at St Mirren to today's team, you get a similar outcome. And that can't be said at Celtic just now, that the people coming in and filling in for injuries and being brought off the bench, they're not making an impact, whether the squad at Rangers are, and even the new signings are now getting in the act. So that's why there's so much optimism at the moment at Ibrox.
William is a Celtic fan in Craigend. How do you look at it all, William?
Good evening, guys. How you doing? I think it's Brendan Rodgers is shifting the blame here. See, when he's talking about this bravery thing, in the two spells that he's been at the club, he's the signings that he's made has been absolutely horrendous. And I'm counting his first spell and this spell. I think he's shifting the blame with this bravery comment. So I don't think, and he's got to take responsibility. If he's got the last word for signings, then he's got to take the responsibility for that. When you're talking about when Turnbull is left the building and Hatai is injured, for me that's bad decision making. We're left with a guy Bernardo who's on loan. So for me that's no forward thinking. He gave Mikey Johnson a chance. He's given him about 10 or 12 games and he shifted him out on loan. So that for me is, again, bad decision making. So for me, the responsibility lies at the manager. And these decisions that he's making, Rockava's come on the day, he should have been in place with Mikey Johnson at the start of the season, and he should be the one that's got 15 games under his belt so far this season. So for me, it's all about Brendan Rodgers and the responsibility. It's responsibility of the club. It's no about the club. It's about Brendan Rodgers making these decisions, and for me, they're bad decisions he is making.
Brendan Rodgers said yesterday that he feels that supporters are maybe looking for someone to blame. That it's a collective effort. He wants everyone to be together as one. That's how he feels the squad is stronger. When it comes to recruitment, it's always hard to tell how much say a manager does have, how much say the recruitment team have, the manager's input. Brendan Rodgers said, he signed off on the players in the summer, but you would have thought a lot of the legwork was done before he came in. But, I think the first time he mentioned the January window was probably September. He was already looking ahead to it. So Williams wanting to put all the blame on Brendan Rodgers. Is that fair, or is it more of a collective responsibility?
I think it has to be more collective. Why do you have a recruitment department? It is their specific job to uncover and to recommend players to the club. Undoubtedly, Brendan Rodgers has input. The January window is down to him and the recruitment department. If Brendan didn't think we've been brave enough, tell them mid-January. Don't tell them at the start of February.
He may well have done. We don't know that.
Well, one day, and I'm certain the day will come, Brendan Rodgers will finally tell you what he thinks, because he's only giving out quotes for public consumption now. With regard to Turnbull, I think that was a business decision. His contract is up at the end of the season. Celtic got a 7-figure sum from Cardiff. They would say that's good business. I do take the point that Turnbull, on a day like today, could have come on, scored a goal. He's, as I recall, he's the second top goal scorer at Celtic Park this season. But that's a business decision. The bottom line here is that poor buying has gone on for some time, and the consequences of that are now falling down on Celtic's head.
Hugh, I don't care what you say. I think Brendan Rodgers got to a big responsibility. You can't. Mark said it there. Brendan Rodgers didn't go tapping Celtic's door. Celtic went to Brendan Rodgers. Brendan Rodgers had a lot of power when he come back to Celtic, as in, you know, the way he wanted to take the club forward. So he must have, I'm not saying he has every bit of the say, but he must have a big bit of the say when it comes to who's coming in, especially January. Yeah. And they come out with, you know, we could have been a bit more braver. Sort of distance yourself a little bit from the board and everything like that. But Brendan Rodgers is a strong, experienced manager who must have had a big say in what's going on in the club, no doubt.
But that suggests to me, that braver comment suggests to me that he did put players on his list and say, that's who I would like, and someone, I don't know who, has says, no, that's a bit too much for us. Does that not suggest that to you? Why would he say it? Because he's going to be frustrated.
I can see the point. Maybe you know, Celtic board didn't want to go over that threshold of money that a player's value, because that's what's going to happen. If you go to Celtic and you're an agent and you're a player, you know that Celtic are cash rich, so you're going to go and try and get the best possible deal. Depends what market they were shopping in, Mark. You know, Brendan Rodgers, as you say, when he was at Leicester, spent a lot of money at Leicester as well. He likes to spend money and big money and bring in the quality. Maybe Celtic at the board level just didn't think that was the way to go.
Well, thank you to William. Let's hear from Craig, who's a Rangers fan in Moodiesburn. Craig, you a happy Rangers fan today?
Very happy, yeah. My fellow Rangers fans will be saying, get off the radio, I want to hear this meltdown. But I felt I had to phone in a couple of points, guys. Listen, I'm 37 years old. I grew up with title races. And I said to the producer there, what's wrong with having a title race? It's like every time Rangers get a wee bit close, it's like, oh, Celtic's recruitment, Celtic's this. I didn't hear any of this 12 months ago. All the talk was one or two Rangers players would get in the Celtic starting 11. You're making out that it's Celtic that have had the complete turnover in the summer. It's Rangers. And in regards to Brendan Rodgers, look at what big Phil Clement's done about man management. He came in and he inherited a squad that was, on paper, probably not even guaranteed to finish second the way we were playing under Michael Beale. And his man management's won a trophy, got us into Europe after Christmas, and I mean, depending who you speak to, made us arguably neck and neck favourites for the title. I just find it very bizarre, you know, going back to, I remember listening to Hugh and the guys back in the day when it was McLeish against O'Neill and this, that and the other, and the title races were fun. But these days it's like, whenever Celtic fail in Europe, it's like, oh, 'cause there's no competition in Scotland. They win every week. But when there's a title race, it's like, oh, I don't like this. It's too close to call. It's like
you've got two different situations going on at the same time. You have supporters who are coming on and saying what they say about Celtic, not us. We are responding to what they say. But from a journalistic point of view, if Celtic have a bad window and the fans are in uproar because of that bad window, and then to put the tin lid on it, they then go to Pittodrie and drop points. That becomes the story of the day. Rangers got the routine victory over Livingston that everyone knew they would get, and they become part of the story of the day because they will, by midweek, by Tuesday evening, be top of the league. So it becomes two stories: fans' reaction, immediate knee-jerk reaction, and the journalistic reaction. Two different things.
Yeah, because I think we've had plenty of Celtic fans on the phone today, and naturally they will focus on Celtic. They clearly feel that things aren't going well at the moment. You wouldn't expect them to come on and lavish Rangers with praise, but Rangers have been very good under Philip Clement. They're winning games. They won again today in a very convincing victory against Livingston, and it takes two parts for there to be a title race. Both teams need to be doing it. Rangers are certainly at it at the moment under Philip Clement.
Oh, without doubt. You only have to go back 4 or 5 months ago. Rangers beating at home to Aberdeen, away to St Mirren, or away in Cyprus, should I say. They were just a shell of a team. The difference Clement is made is staggering. And you know what? We all kind of called it. What Rangers needed was a manager with a bit of authority, who was a winner, who knew how to get the club back in track. And since he set foot into Ibrox, his press conferences, he says what he means. He looks like a guy you wouldn't mess with. He's implemented his style pretty quickly, but the most important thing is he's getting results, and he's changed the mood amongst the fan base. And with that has came Celtic stuttering along the way and not looking perfect.
Craig, obviously going well for Rangers. Do you think there's still another level to come under Philip Clement, because it's still early in his managerial career? The January transfers he's made, Mohamed Diamande yet to be in the matchday squad, so yet to see what he's capable of. Oscar Cortez, just a small cameo for him today, but do you think that it can continue to get even better for Rangers and Philip Clement?
Definitely. I mean, game to game, it's like the players are buying in, and obviously winning the trophy in December was a big thing, to kick on and get that trophy for, the likes of Butland and the new guys. Just to clarify, it wasn't a dig at you guys. It's like the people coming on the show and saying, "Oh, what we're doing having a title race." It was always a title race. But yeah, it definitely can get better and better. And I think it will be nip and tuck. And I'm very, very, very confident. I just wish we'd possibly got that one more striker in. But I trust in what Big Phil's
going to
do between now and then.
Can Fabio Silva be that striker?
Potentially, yeah, being greedy. You guys were talking about Lawrence Shankland. I'd have loved Lawrence Shankland in, because I think he might have been that Boyd-esque difference between now and the end of the season. But listen, I mean, today, like you say, routine victory, but, it was 3 going on 6. And yeah, very, very excited. But yeah, like I say, I'm glad to have a proper title race, but also I hope we come out winners at the end.
Well, we'll hear from Philip Clement on Fabio Silva next.
After they play, you have your say. 0141 951 1025. Clyde One Super Scoreboard's open line.
Into the final part of today's Clyde One Super Scoreboard. A lot of the focus has been on that 1-1 draw between Aberdeen and Celtic earlier on. Rangers beating Livingston 3-0 means the gap at the top is just 3 points. Rangers have a game in hand. A good win for St Mirren away to Hibs as well, among other results. Let's hear a bit from Philip Clement, shall we, on Fabio Silva.
No, there are still a lot of things to improve, but that's normal. He needs to get connection with the other players. He needs to understand better where to run, when to do what. But I'm very pleased about the way he stepped into the building, working hard every day in training. He wants to learn. He wants to become better. And you see already flashes of his talent. But he's not yet at his top level. But that's normal. That we knew. He didn't play many minutes, and he didn't know his teammates or the way we want to play football. So with playing more minutes and making more trainings, he will grow in that. So I'm happy that I have, for the moment, 2 strikers who are really hungry to do what they have to do for the team, and that's not only scoring goals.
Yeah, there was a lot of talk. Lawrence Shankland, Rangers needing another striker. Can Fabio Silva be that striker? Because there seemed to be a lot of thoughts from Rangers fans that maybe Fabio Silva wasn't that striker. He wasn't the backup to Dessers that they needed someone else. But because it happened so early in the window, was there maybe people had not quite forgotten that he'd come in, but were maybe discounting him as being that player that can come in and get some vital goals?
Yeah, just listening to
the
the interview there from the manager, he believes that there's still a lot more to come from him. The one thing you can't deny is the boy's a worker. He'll go and work his socks off for the team. Sometimes he takes to sell out the positions where a natural striker would just hang about the box waiting for the chances. He likes to go deep, link up, run at players. He looks a very good player, and today is a big moment for him. Getting your first goal, especially at home, what a confidence booster that is from the lad. And also Dessers, he comes on and misses a very good chance again, an opportunity to go 4 out of 4.
I'll just throw this out there. for the sake of conversation, the window's closed. Shanklin's better than Dessers or Fabio Silva.
There we go. Let's hear a bit from. Interested to hear this. Stuart Kettlewell on Kevin Van Veen. Then we'll go back to the phones.
Of course you are, in a sense. Everybody knows the relationship that Kevin Van Veen has with the football club, the ridiculous numbers he posted last year, but there's a personal relationship with myself and Kevin, of course, as well, which has been well enough documented. So yeah, there's a disappointment, but again, I think it just shows where things are. I think that performance today probably tells everybody that I undoubtedly wanted to bring Kevin Van Veen to this football club. It was made no secret, but we were blown out the water by the likes of Kilmarnock. I believe maybe St Mirren were involved in that as well, and that's not for me to make anybody feel sorry. That's simply a scenario that was dealt in front of us. I know Derek will be really positive and pleased to get Kevin in, and rightfully so, but we have to then focus on our group and what we have, and then that's no way a slight on our guys, because our number 9 and our guy that played and led the line today was pretty decent himself. So from that point of view, Big Theo's getting better and better. He's my player, Kevin's not, so I'll continue to focus on that.
Well, let's go back to the phone. Scott is a Celtic fan in Barmulloch. Scott, how are you feeling tonight?
It's going to ratty again, unfortunately. I don't know what's going on at the club. I don't know what's going on with Brendan Rodgers, to be fair. He came out the other day, I think it was yesterday, in the press conference, he said the club need to be a bit braver in the transfer market. Well, Brendan, if you were listening, mate, how about you being a wee bit braver in the park and playing 2 centre forwards and give teams something to worry about, because it's not good enough.
I mean, he did make that change. He put Adam Ida up top. Kyogo was playing in behind him. Is it something that he needs to do earlier in the game, Scott? Did you feel it wasn't attacking enough? I mean, it was all Celtic in the first half.
But see, when you've only got one striker in the box, there's only one striker there to take the chances that you put into the box. If you get 2 strikers in there, 2 guys that is their trade, they score goals, get the 2 of them in the box at the same time and let the defenders defend against that.
Was maybe part of the failure today the fact that Matt O'Reilly and Paulo Bernardo have shown they're a goal threat, Matt O'Reilly especially, but the two of them just weren't really. I mean, Paulo Bernardo hit the bar, Matt O'Reilly hit the post, the two of them maybe just off the boil today.
Listen, it's an argument that fans throw at Celtic or any club for that matter who plays with one striker, that if you put 2 strikers that you'll get better success. I don't believe that at all. Celtic have scored over 50 goals this season, and when you look at them, the treble last year under Ange Postecoglou, even before that, it's one striker. So like, I get the frustration when they don't score 2 and 3 every game. You go, oh, the solution is 2 striker. How do you create then? You know, you're taking someone away that creates a chance. You're taking maybe a Matt O'Reilly or a Bernardo at midfield. So for me, Scott, it's not quite as simple as 2 strikers.
The frustration's a recent affair. You know, Scott will remember the Alistair Johnson goal against Ross County last weekend was actually an own goal. The Kuhn goal today against Aberdeen is actually an own goal.
I mean, they'll both go down as Alistair Johnson's goal and Nicholas Kuhn's goal. If it's on target anyway, it takes a deflection.
I know, but
still goes down as
the
attacking team's goal.
Yeah, but they're 2 scruffy goals, and Celtic aren't scoring regularly. But the problem for me now, in the weeks ahead, has everything to do with what's going on at the back. Carter Vickers out. They say 3 weeks. You never know with these things. Nawrocki, I think, rejected by Brendan Rodgers today. Lagerbielka kept at the club because of the Carter Vickers injury situation, but clearly not rated by the manager. Stephen Welsh is in there, Scales in there. You've got a problem at fullback, no Greg Taylor. That is going to be, for me, the big problem for Celtic at the back.
Scott, is it a case of having to rip it all up and start again for Brendan Rodgers, or is it just wee tweaks here and there? You there, Scott?
Sorry. Yeah, I'm still here. Sorry.
Just saying, is it a case of having to Brendan Rodgers has to rip it all up and start again, or is it a case of just tweaks that need to be made here and there?
Well, my opinion is we don't need 4 defenders at home. I certainly don't need 4 defenders at home. Away games, maybe you want to be a wee bit tighter.
But then what's the alternative there? Is it a back 3? Because when you've got a back 4, you've got the 2 fullbacks who, there was at times today, Alistair Johnson and Alejandro Bernabe, Anthony Ralston when he was put there as well. They were up in the final third. So sometimes a back 4 is actually more attacking than a back 3 because you've got the fullbacks rather than 3 centre backs.
we as a club started the season okay, but we've not kicked on. We're going back the way. We're not going forward. Brendan's supposed to be this great coach. I've not seen any evidence of that. And as for the 50 goals, Mark, you're talking about, go and look back since November and see how many games we won convincingly. Go and look back.
Hold on, what's that got to do with over 50 goals? They have scored over 50 goals.
Yes. What I'm trying to say to you, Mark, is, we were scoring quite freely at the start of the season. But in the last 6 to 8 weeks, that's not happening anymore. So we lost to Hearts, Kilmarnock, St Johnstone. The games were all 1 goal or 0 goals. We're well off the boil. As I think it was Hugh said earlier on, 2 scruffy goals lately. So where's all these goals? The last game we won with any sort of style was maybe the Rangers game, and that was only 2-1. I'm just saying, we as a club are going back the way. This guy, this Brendan Rodgers, as a coach, in my opinion, he's too careful. There's too much. Let's not take a chance. Then he comes on and makes that statement in the press conference about, we need to be a wee bit more sort of braver in the transfer market. Well, as I said already, why are we not a bit braver in the park? That's the manager's choice. I just think we should be. What's the point of having 2 strikers when we don't play them? But I'm talking about signing strikers. What's the point?
I think with regard to the don't play 4 at the back, if Celtic hadn't played 4 at the back against Ross County last week, they might have lost that game, and that would have been even worse. So I think tonight the composite picture for Celtic is that the fans are blaming Brendan Rodgers, the fans are blaming poor recruitment, the fans are blaming the board, the team is not performing on the park. Brendan Rodgers said they were not aggressive enough, did not take their chances, did not exploit Aberdeen's weaknesses, and at the same time Rangers' momentum continues. They might not be that easy on the eye at times. Dessers and De Silva, I repeat, Lawrence Shankland's a better striker than either of them, and the bottom line is they are progressing, and they on Tuesday night will go to the top of the league after they have beaten Aberdeen, and Celtic are in a precarious position with regard to the retention of their title.
Well, thank you to Scott. That is all we've got time for on the phones. It has been a lively day. Hugh, how would you sum up another big week ahead as well?
Yeah, I'd sum it up by saying that it was the day that the Celtic fans got the reality call, the wake-up call, and one went so far as to concede the title and say that Rangers were the champions. Of course, they will fight to argue with that assessment, but Celtic have major problems building up. They have major injury worries, they have major deficiencies up front with regard to scoring goals, and they have to go to Easter Road. Now, Hibs may have had an awful result today, but in Celtic's current state, Easter Road will become a challenge as well, because Celtic will go there no longer top of the league.
Well, looking forward to the week ahead, but that is all we've got time for today. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your tweets. Thank you for your calls. Thanks to Mark Wilson, Gordon Dalziel and Hugh Keevins in the studio. We're back on Monday night. Gordon Duncan will be in the studio with the guys, and make sure to stick around. The perfect way to bring in your Saturday night. It's the GBX.
The Clyde One Super Scoreboard Podcast.
With Lucas Volvo. Book a test drive for the Volvo EX30 today. Head online for details.